Yeah. Welcome back to week 6 of the Collegiate Chess League presented to you by SIG. I am your host Nemo, and I am joined here by the wonderful social media, and sometimes we talk about it. But this week we have some of the most exciting games happening. These are the current live standings, which I will actually let Joe take away.
Awesome. Well, as you guys can see at the top, we got UT Dallas, a perfect 5-0 start to the season. They're the only undefeated team so far, and we will be watching them play later today. So that's going to be exciting to see if they can hold on to that. And second, we've got their fellow Texas neighbors, UTRGV, with a score of 5-1. They've actually played their Week 7 match early, so that's why they have an extra game played. SLU is number 3. They were the preseason number 1 seed, so they did have a loss last week actually against UTRGV. So SLU's going to look to bounce back this week against their other Texas team. And we have Mizzou in 4th place. So I'm actually really excited. We're going to watch all 4 of these top teams today, actually. So that's going to be really exciting. You want to look at those matchups, Nemo?
For sure. To remind you guys, today we have UTRGV facing off against Missouri. Right now, right this second, they are going to be starting momentarily. And after that, today we're going to be seeing University of Texas Dallas play off against the St. Louis University. So lots of really exciting matchups coming up. This is going to be some of the most fun that we have seen in a little bit. And don't forget, the season is going to come to an end fairly soon, so every single point counts. And here we have the round by round matchups. How many title players do you count here, Joe?
Well, if I'm looking at that right, it seems every player is titled. You got UTRGV with all 4 international masters, and Mizzou almost with all 4 grandmasters. They do have their veteran on board for Josiah Stearman, so he's going to try to get some points for Mizzou. And Mizzou actually had their first loss of the season last week, an upset loss against the Ivy League Yale team, which was very exciting. That was a 1-point difference, 8.5 to 7.5. And UTRGV is looking to give Mizzou their second loss of the season. Meanwhile, Mizzou's going to actually try to get back into the top of the standings and take down UTRGV, because right now the 2 Texas schools are top 2 in the division. And those top 2 spots actually will give them a bye in the first week of the playoffs, which is huge. So they're definitely going to be fighting for that spot.
It is going to be incredibly tense, guys. We do also have the match format over here, as all the boards are playing against each other. Don't forget the time control is 5+2, so these are going to be blitz games, and you have 8.5 points to win a match. You got to get to 8.5. So it is going to be a lot of fun. I don't know if we have seen any tied matches yet, but there are going to be tie breaks in the case that a match is tied. I mean, what are your predictions for today, Joe?
Well, as you mentioned, we haven't seen a tie yet on broadcast. I think one of the matches earlier this season has gone to it, so it'd be really exciting if today would be the day. And I definitely think it could happen. I don't think I'm going to predict it, though. I think Mizzou is going to win this first match because they have the GMs. They have the heavy hitters. They actually brought in Grigoriy Oparin, who has been out for a little bit, and that's a large reason why they actually lost last week. So I don't think Mizzou's going to take any chances. I think they're going to get the dub in the regular match. No need for tiebreak. The actual match score itself, I'm not too sure about yet. I'm thinking maybe like 9.5 to 6.5 for Mizzou.
9.5 to 6.5.
What do you think?
I like that. You have mentioned that there have been a couple more upsets, so I'm wondering perhaps if today could be one of those upset days. But you have set very good lines thus far. I think every single week Joe has been much closer than me, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I think one of them you beat me. Maybe one of them.
Maybe I beat you in one of
Maybe.
them. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't actually think I have beat you in any of them, which is totally fine. Which is totally fine. Like I think you know these teams better than I do. But at the same time, how am I off so much every single week? This is the week that I'm going to get it right. And I think that Mizzou has the advantage here. They have more grandmasters than UTRGV, but UTRGV has some of, the strongest international masters I've ever seen. I'm not going to
Yeah,
lie.
they definitely are IM and title only. They're definitely on pace for GM. I
Mhm.
think I wouldn't be surprised if any of them became a GM. But at the same time, Mizzou's only IM, Josiah, board 4, I think, is also a very strong IM and is chasing his GM norms as we speak. So I think that Mizzou definitely has the rating edge. They're definitely the favorite in standings, not live standings, but preseason standings. However, UTRGV actually beat Missouri's neighbor SLU last week. Although SLU didn't have their full lineup, I think they were missing. Actually, Bok was playing from Vegas. So
They
who were they? They were missing someone, I
were
think.
missing Nicholas, I believe. I think you mentioned that
Mm,
Nicholas was missing.
yeah. So I think that UTRGV definitely has some chances for an upset. They proved that last week by taking down the number 1 seed SLU. But I think that they're not going to be able to get it done against a fully stacked, full strength Mizzou team.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that a fully stacked Mizzou team is one of the most, you know, they're so strong. They're just so good. It's a team full of grandmasters. As we just wait here a moment for the games to properly start, don't worry. Gazik Victor has not just decided that he's going to tank his time, but we do actually have the moves on board number 2 right now between Luca and Gleb as they go into
Yeah,
this King's Indian.
we see Duden's got some dramatic lighting there. He's kind of like an anonymous. It's like guess that Pokemon player.
Exactly. Dude, he just wants to be in his, basement, I know it's not actually a basement, but he's enjoying the vibes right now. He's in his little cave. He's having fun.
Luca, meanwhile, looks like he's playing live from class.
Yeah, I respect
So
that too. I mean, this is why we love the Collegiate Chess League because don't forget, guys, you can be both a college student and really good at chess. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with rocking both. So all of the players here are really showcasing that for us today. they're they're definitely exhibiting their university preferences.
yeah, we've seen it all. I think my favorite still goes out to Cole from Chicago playing directly from his campus outside. It's going to
Right.
be hard for these college kids to top that. Although this is Halloween weekend, maybe some players will surprise us with a costume.
Do you Okay, so this is my question to you. Are you doing anything for Halloween?
I'm not, but I do have a wizard hat.
Okay, amazing. So we have
I know
that
you
going
got
for
some
us.
costumes too, right?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I don't think we might not see a Halloween themed costume today. Nobody seems that dedicated. They seem quite intent on the chess. So we can actually take a quick look at bird's eye view as we have all the games going. And one of the games actually looks like, I mean, a lot of the games look pretty crazy, but uh, some of the games look like they're wrapping up and they just
Yeah.
started.
They're playing fast. They're definitely not shying away from the action, even though it's round 1. These teams have played each other many times before in the past, in the CCL, at Pan Am's, probably even in Final Four. They're definitely not strangers to each other. So they're coming in hot. Gloves are off. Punches are swinging. Is there a particular game that you wanted to look at, Nemo?
I really wanted to take a look at Grigoriy Oparin versus Ozanir. I think that could be a very fun game, potentially.
We definitely have to keep an eye on Oparin as he is definitely their board 1 at Mizzou. We've seen Antipov a lot. Oparin's been traveling the world, playing in
Playing
OTB events.
tournaments. Yeah, playing
Yeah, so
tournaments.
definitely have to keep an eye out for Oparin while we have the opportunity. So he's playing against the board 4 from Texas, and he's got the black pieces, and it looks like White's going for some interesting tricks.
Yeah, White is going for some interesting tricks, but I'm also really curious about how they, landed in this position where both of their kings are still in the middle of the board, and the rook somehow took a pawn on g2. Like, what happened? Do you mind if we go back a little bit and take a look at the opening?
We definitely have to take a look at this.
Yeah, I'm just like, whoa. Rooks don't oftentimes end up on g2. Okay, I guess this explains how the rook ended up on g2. I'm very surprised that White just gave up this pawn, though. I mean, this feels like you are signing up for a world of tactics and complications in a position against a grandmaster that you might not necessarily want to take this up against as White. I feel like with the white pieces, you are sort of now at the mercy of Black. There, Black is simply up a pawn, and where's your king going to go? How are you going to deal with the pair of bishops? I'm just a little bit. I have some questions relating to the loss of the g2 pawn.
And instead of c5, I was wondering if Grigoriy could have played this crazy bishop a3 idea.
Bishop to a3.
Yeah.
Bishop to a3
Now,
would have definitely been a move.
because
Joe
the
is
queen
pointing this
lands
out.
on c3 with a fork on the d3 bishop and the a1 rook. But
I think king e2 saves it, though.
got it. All
All
right. That
moves.
was a move that I missed.
Yes.
All right.
But this position definitely looking a little bit tough for White to play. Black has no fear and simply castles long, despite there being a half open file. But luckily for Black, it is a half open file open in Black's favor, so he's not too worried about it just now. But there's always the chance that White's able to create something in this position. I just don't know where it's going to be just yet. But it's not fully over for, Ozanir just yet.
Yeah. Not over. It's also not Jover.
It's not
until I
Jover.
say.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's maybe more important.
Didn't you learn that literally last week?
uh,
We love that.
The name is carrying me. But all right, we have some other games as well that we could
Yes.
take a look at
We'll take a
because
yeah.
Oparin's definitely cruising. But we have some of his teammates. Looks like they're doing well. I'm looking at this game 2. We have Luca with the white pieces. We
Sorry.
were already looking at Duden before. So they
What
both
is
cast on the same
happening?
side. Yeah, we've got some interesting piece placement. Black's got a knight on the edge. Both bishops facing the center. Looks like this H pawn's really weak.
Definitely going for this H pawn.
The B pawn is weak.
There's a lot going on in this position. I mean, a little breakdown for you guys. First of all, White is up 2 pawns. 2. Not 1. He's up 2 pawns, which is why obviously the eval bar is climbing in White's favor. But Black does have compensation here. I feel like I'm going to be saying this a lot today.
Look at the clock.
Yes.
2 minutes and 15 seconds to 16 seconds flat.
Not great time usage by Duden thus far.
No, that's maybe needs to turn the lights on.
He
see the clock.
definitely Yeah, I can't even make out his face, you know? His room is so dark, or his camera quality is just not quite good enough for me to be able to see his face. So I can't even see what he's thinking right now. But I do have to say, playing against a grandmaster down 3 pawns now, probably not the best time of your life. However, white does have very weak dark squares, so there is always some chance that, you know, a mistake happens or
Well, if anyone's making a mistake, I would guess it's the side that has less than 15 seconds.
it's true. I mean, black. Well, that's the thing. When someone only has 15 seconds, they're less worried about the moves that they're playing and more dedicated to just trying to find a way to like salvage the position. So he might be going for some really crazy tactics here. Duden, I mean. He might just be willing to sacrifice on h3 at the perfect moment, maybe move the king up, play rook to h8. There's
Mm.
always ideas here. Of course, fairly unlikely. These are all purely hypothetical situations, but I actually think sometimes playing with less time on the clock means less pressure, and you just have to go for your natural tactical instincts because you don't have time.
Yeah, I think this bishop sack idea is interesting, but obviously the bishop on f1 helps defend that. Although
Right.
I will say the bishop on f1's pretty sad. All pawns on light squares. That is kind of like a tall pawn back there.
Definitely a tall pawn back here.
White maybe he's going to take the d file. Rook d1 seems like it makes sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is going to be a pretty solid cleanup by Luca over here. I'm saying this extremely tentatively because I have learned that anything can happen. Anything.
Wow. Duden just played a move with a second left on his clock.
Yeah, that is
Cutting it close.
very much so. Very much so.
Would you want to trade queens? Yeah, queen g3 immediately declined. Offered yet again.
You cannot trade queens when you are Duden here. You do not want to play this endgame where you're 3 pawns down. 3 pawns down is not fun.
Would you go for f5 at some point? Okay, I guess not.
I think f5 is asking to complicate the position a little bit, and I don't think it's a bad move. I just don't think you need to do it.
All right, knight trying to get to f6 as you're highlighting.
Chess Week coming in the chat saying he's a true shadow fighter. Indeed. We can't even see
Shout
him.
out to Chess Weeb, a former college player.
Are you a former college player?
I mean, I played for UCLA, but not. I never played in Pan Am's.
Okay.
And the CCL didn't exist back then. But
right.
Okay, so I don't like how white's doubled their pawns, and now this rook is getting active.
This rook is getting active, but white is just going to pick up another pawn.
Queen e8 looks so good.
Well, Queen e8 does look very good. I do want to point out, though, there is also maiden 1 threats coming in from black. So funny that. No, I definitely see it. Yeah. Everybody here sees it, right? If you don't see it, why are you even here?
Okay. All right. I see the maiden 1 threat, but hold on. Is the king escaping?
King might potentially be running away, but I don't think he has anywhere to go, and I don't think king takes e5 is actually going to do him any favors, because rook to d. Okay.
Oh.
I'm not sure white sees the way to win this position.
Is there a rook check?
I'm not sure
the bishop covers that.
The way.
The king has 9 lives.
It really does.
Can you take on c5? He's gonna flag. Oh my god.
I'm not actually convinced that. Well, the rook was hanging, so I guess now it's more so
Oh, that's nice.
why I was
Well,
gonna
you
pick,
get
but
you can get the knight at least, but
yeah.
all
So
right. Well, crazy.
very much so. We
We have some
are
results coming in too.
Yes, we have results. While this game was happening, guys, we had decisive results. And it's not all in Mizu's favor, which is kind of, oh, I forgot. I didn't even set a prediction. I only asked you for yours. What was your prediction again?
You're 9.5, 6. You're waiting to see these round one results before you
Yeah.
choose. I see. That was very smart.
Okay, I'm going to go for 9-6.
Okay, that's really close. So for
Sorry, I
Texas.
mean 9 to
No.
5. Yeah. I did the
Wait,
math.
no. It'd be 9-7.
Man, my math is
That is
really
6.
bad this morning.
The math is
I
mathing
knew that
today.
I was wrong, and then I doubled down the wrong direction. So
It happens.
it does. Sorry about that.
It's okay. I saw some questionable predictions in chat too, so I
Okay,
saw some like
fair.
8-3 predictions or something. you
3.
just you just read chat. Is just blame it on chat.
It's true. I'm just gonna blame it in chat. You know what? 9-7 sounds too extreme. I'm gonna go with 10-5.
Also,
Also
it'd
not
be
right.
10-6.
10
Yeah.
to 6. 10 to 6. There we go. We finally got there.
Wow. Okay.
10
All
to
right.
6. It took us a
So
long time, but we arrived at the correct score.
us.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess 9.5, 6.5, pretty early on.
It's
But
true. I'm just going to hedge you, but we do have one more game between Mihail Antipov and Druska, and they actually have a really interesting endgame if you look at it.
the opposite color bishops.
The opposite color bishops, but also, well, I was just going to say the black king is on B2.
What
So
that king doing over there?
what is the king doing on B2?
Well, they get to a draw, so
Yeah.
we do have an initial lead for Mizzou, and we see. I mean, that's a good result for Texas. A draw against Antipov, who's typically Mizzou's board 1, now playing on board 2. I mean, that's a scary lineup to have Antipov on board 2. So that's a good result from Texas's board 3.
For sure. I mean, like we said earlier, right? Like this is going to be a really exciting match, but Mizzou definitely just one of the strongest teams, basically ever. Like
Of all time.
of all time in the Collegiate Chess League. I mean, they're just really, really good. So we kind of love to see that because that means that this week there are going to be some extremely exciting games, and we're going to watch some top level grandmaster play, and hopefully everybody here, I always feel like after Collegiate Chess League I learn a lot, so I hope everybody spectating, everybody watching also gets to learn a little bit.
And both these teams, like you said, they're some of the best of all time, and that's actually true because UTRGV, they have won in the CCL back in season 4, and Mizzou has won back in season 2. So these are both former champions trying to get back to the number 1 spot. Right now, SLU's the defending champions. But they're not even like first in the season so far. So all these teams are just right up there with all the talent, all the chances. And like I said earlier, UTRGV right now is seeded number 2. And so that gives them a bye in the first week of the playoffs, which is huge because a lot of these players, they have other events. They might need the rest. You don't want to get caught against like Yale or U Chicago, who has this potential for an upset. Like we already saw Yale take down Mizzou earlier.
Right.
And Chicago is a former champion as well. So these bye weeks are really important. So these matches are really important because the standings determines your place in the bracket. If you start off hot in the playoffs, that could lead to a deep run. Or maybe you catch a hot team in the first week and that ends your run short. So these teams really want to make sure that they get the best chances in these last 2 weeks of the season.
Absolutely. And sort of bouncing off of what Joe said, there was an upset last week between Yale and Mizzou, but that also goes wow moment, and all of a sudden down you go. So everybody here does have to stay on their top performance because you just really don't want to get overconfident and then accidentally lose a match. So
Wow, look at this tactic from Victor Gajic. Oh my goodness.
oh my gosh. Oh, Joe, I have a quiz for you. What
Pop quiz.
pop quiz? What do we call this move?
Oh my goodness. Is this the oh wow. You told me. So if I get this wrong, it'll be
I did.
embarrassing. Is it the you called it the Cypress?
Yes. Oh my god, I'm so glad you remembered. Thank you.
You
You're
had
giving
me on
me
my toes
credit.
there.
I love it. So, for everybody who is watching this, I have nicknamed the Cypress Gambit. I mean, sorry, Cypress Gift. Cypress Gift, because the sacrifice on H7 is usually called the Greek Gift. So, this is the Cypress Gift. And this is actually, I have seen this almost as many times as I have seen the Greek Gift, and I never understood why it doesn't have a name. So it's now called the Cypress Gift. And the reason that it is so good, we are going to go back one move. If G takes H6 happens, you might be like, oh, this is a free bishop. But actually, I know none of you are going to do this because I've noticed that beginners these days or just new chess players are so good with their tactics. And it's so crazy. It must be all those chess.com puzzles you guys do every day. But after king to G7, you can simply place your queen, and there is this checkmate threat on h7. So black has to sacrifice a knight in order to capture this knight, but white can simply say, don't take my knight, and then just take the knight on e5, and all of a sudden it's back to material even, and then the king is very, very weak. So we love the Cypress Gift. It's a very good setup. If you have the pieces for it, if you see your opponent's pieces are all on the king side, alarm bells should be going off in your head immediately and be like, oh shoot, my opponent is going to try to sacrifice something. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great find there from Victor. And even though it shows that he's actually a GM on Chess.com, maybe we should give him some credit for that. I'm not sure. Maybe we gotta double check that.
Maybe we gotta double check that.
Maybe it's been recent. So yeah, they don't. It looks like they do have a GM. Wow, he got it as of
Wow.
round 1 of
As
this
of
match.
round 1, he's a grandmaster. Okay, well, we apologize for the very first game, Gazik. Apparently, you are a grandmaster. That's okay. Don't worry. Now we will know. This is the tournament in which Gazik Victor won his grandmaster title. Wouldn't that be so funny if you were playing a tournament and in the middle of it, Fido was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, congratulations."
Congrats. Round of, can we get some claps in the chat for Victor Gajic? Not only for the Cypress Gambit, but also for that GM title he just got.
I feel
Usually
like
titles get awarded by FIDE, but this one was awarded by our broadcast team. So
exactly. Thank you, broadcast team. Indeed, Aquila. But that's why I thought very long and hard about the Cypress gift and what to call this gift. And settle on Cyprus. Cyprus as in the island nation, not the tree.
So Luca, the other grandmaster, he doesn't accept the gift, as nice as it was. So now, how does white cash in on this? Obviously, you win the H pawn, which is pretty helpful because that gives you control over G5. I think Queen C2 is a pretty natural idea. It just threatens checkmate, and that's going to cause maybe some concessions in Luca's position.
I really like Queen C2 because I mean you're just going for checkmate, and I think going for checkmate when you have two knights over here and your bishop and always like all your pieces are just geared towards checkmate, and that'd be really cool. What I really want to see here is actually knight to H6.
Oh my god. Did you find that or did you see the computer say it?
I saw the computer say it.
Because I see the computers. It wants a double knight sack. Oh my gosh.
Double knight sack. Have you seen the double bishop sacrifices on either H7 and G7 or F7
Yeah,
G7?
I've seen that. I don't know if I've seen the double knight sack.
So that's why I think this would be so cool if he sees it, because if king takes, now there is mate m5. Oh, actually we have game. Bishop to E7. He went for knight to f7, which is basically the exact same, because now you also have knight to h6, and after g takes h6, there is mate, and he plays knight to h6.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, Gazik Victor is having a good day. He has Cyprus gifted. He has sacrificed this knight on f7. He is now playing knight to h6. He has managed to sacrifice 3 of his minor pieces. Of course, only one of them so far has been taken. Now 2. And now I think he sees there is mate in 3. He
Oh
is
my god.
coming in with checkmate. His opponent better let him play it, because I'm going to be so mad at Luca if he doesn't let Gazik execute the checkmate. This is the
I mean,
most beautiful checkmate that I have seen in a very long time. No! That's
so professional.
right.
Bravo. We need another round of applause for Victor Gajic.
That was so good. The internet cut out again, and we're angry at Luca for not letting Gazik deliver checkmate.
Still, even checkmate or not on the board, that was just a wild sequence, and I'm really excited to see what Victor can do in the rest of this match.
For sure. I agree. We do currently have Bird's Eye. I'm not entirely sure that broadcast is able to see it, but if you're not, you can try all the usual tricks like refresh, turn your PC on and off again, press Alt F4. No, don't actually do that. But yes, we will have solid internet and solid connections, and more importantly, we have solid games and a solid commentary team. Am I right, Joe?
Well, you're definitely carrying here, but I agree. I agree for sure.
Thank you, but you need to give yourself more credit. All right, Joe, which game would you like to look at now?
Well, it's going to be tough for anyone to follow that up, but we definitely have to tune into Grigori's game against Druska.
Definitely. We shall do so. As we tune in, we didn't even have time to tune in. Well, Oparin just
Another
won.
early resign.
Coming in, yeah. Definitely not a very fun position for Black to play, so he decided to resign. I guess that means I will pick. Josiah is currently crushing Duden. Maybe Duden needs to oh, no, he still hasn't. I got excited for a moment and was like, oh, he stopped playing his cave, but no, he's still in his cave. I literally cannot see his face, but it's totally fine.
So I love this opening of the F file from Josiah. With tempo, knight comes in e4. He picks up the f2 pawn. That's a fork. He could take on b2 if he wants.
Mm-hmm.
The knight is hanging though, so I will say that.
The knight is hanging, but don't.
I guess both knights are hanging.
Yeah, so taking this means that there's rook takes d1 and you lose the queen. So this is a very, very painful position for white to play. That is not just a free knight.
Yeah, he doesn't want the bishop on b2. He takes the knight on d5, which is definitely the better piece. That bishop on b2 is not going anywhere.
For sure. This is the tall pawn.
Yeah.
The best move here, rook d2, d2. Just go for checkmate. And yeah, Duden has resigned.
We're seeing a lot of resigners here, but
we have.
That means that the players are playing strong chess or weak chess or both.
No, I think it just means that you can recognize when you're losing and you don't feel like, feeling the embarrassment of getting checkmated. But hey, to each their own. I would have personally let Gazik deliver his maiden one. That was worthy of the maiden one. Sorry, I'm going to be on this for the whole day. If you resign before your opponent checkmates you, after your opponent has sacrificed 3 minor pieces and found 3 brilliancies, you're not a good sport.
Wow. calling him out like that.
I am calling him out like that.
Ooh, I like the c5 check. If king takes, there was knight b7 fork
Yep.
from Antipov.
Some really good chess coming in from Antipov. Antipov is now up a whole piece as a result of all those tactics.
Yeah. That rook, though, is still in the corner. And I don't even know if the bishop's moved yet. So Antipov is like crushing and only using his knight.
Amazing. We love it. We love to see
All
that.
right. So he's activating his bishops now. Maybe his rook can join the party. There it is.
For sure.
Wow, the threat was knight c6, taking advantage of a discovery plus the pin on the knight. So he trades the rooks. His knight's hanging, his pawn's hanging. Maybe king b4. Do you give up the bishop pair for the knights, or do you just play with the knight?
Put more pressure on your opponent. I feel like you don't really want to trade off the pieces in case, you know, Black still has 4 pawns to 3, so there's always that very slight chance that they are able to exchange off the pawns. It's very unlikely, but there's always that small chance. So I think it's better to just preserve the minor pieces. This is one of those situations where I would say trading off pieces is actually probably not in your favor as white. I know that one of the sayings that beginners are always told is swap off pieces if you're up on material, but I think pair bishops is really strong, and I think in these type of endgames specifically where you only have a few number of pawns, you don't really want to do that. You just don't want to risk the chance of not having sufficient mating material.
So he trades off some pawns. He trades off one of his bishops for the knight. He's checking, pawn pushing. He's going to try to promote the c pawn. That's a free pawn. See, this is another instance where maybe you could have resigned, but Oznier is trying to draw this game out, maybe tire the Mizzou team a little bit. Do you think it's going to work?
I think it might work. I think there's definitely a chance that... Actually,
are we gonna see bishop and knight mate?
We might be seeing a bishop and knight mate, but I think Antipov is much more likely to just try to promote the pawn. I think with the knight and bishop, you have sufficient material to kick the knight away from being able to defend the c7 square.
He's preventing the knight from coming back. Yeah.
So now here we go again. He's going to try to now prevent the c8 square, protect the c8 square, but there's always knight to c6 ideas. Ooh, this is a good trick. c8, there's knight to d6.
There's so many tricks.
There's so many tricks. But Antipov does have 33 seconds, so it's not that bad. Oh, this is actually really cute. So knight to c8, there's bishop to f5, and then you fork the knight. And then once the knight takes, there is promotion.
Nice find.
Very nice find.
I kind of wanted to just see him promote and do the bishop knight mate, but Antipov's maybe not feeling like doing it right now.
I mean, I don't think it's fair to ask people to deliver knight and bishop checkmate on the spot. I feel like that requires a lot of preparation, you know? I don't think on the regular basis, do you know how to checkmate with a knight and bishop?
I mean, I've definitely learned it, and I know I think I could figure it out on the spot. Like, I don't maybe have it completely memorized, but I've done it, and I think I could do it. But obviously, it's too early for Antipov to do. He's just like, give me the queen.
Exactly, for sure. Definitely. But here we do have player performance scores from the first 2 rounds. We have UTRGV with 2.5 and 5.5 for Mizzou. How is it looking for your predictions so far, Joe?
Well, Mizzou has won both rounds, which is great for them, but I kind of need them to hold this because my 9.5, 6.5 is a 3-point lead, which is what Mizzou is at currently. So if they could just tie the next 2 rounds, that'll be perfect.
Yeah, I definitely think that Mizzou is looking really good, but I do have to admit UTRGV is also looking really good. I mean, we have seen some crazy, crazy games today. I've been kind of loving it. So don't forget, guys, the Chess.com College Ambassador Program is back. So if you're a college student who wants to help grow chess on your college campus, join the team and get the backing of Chess.com at your school. Benefits include diamond memberships, exclusive Chess.com merch, career opportunities, and even meeting chess celebrities. For all the details, use command CAP in the Chess.com chat. I think these matches today were really fun, so if you are a college student, you can also participate in this awesome league. And before we go into a quick break, if you want to learn the Ruy Lopez, which actually I do, from Grandmaster Fabiano Caruana, here's your chance and stick around to find out more. We'll be right back.
We developed a knight out to f6, and after nearly any of white's moves, for example, short castle, we play b5, bishop to b3, and bishop c5, and this is the introduction to the Archangel. My name is Fabiano Caruana, and I'm a chess grandmaster, and here I welcome you to my course, Caruana's Ruy Lopez Dark Archangel. This course will provide you with a full repertoire with the black pieces against the Ruy Lopez. So let's say after h5, white plays h3, because white can always take on b6. Black plays h4, bishop h2, g4. We've seen this idea, we need to open up the king side. We need to play for the initiative. Take, and we take with the knight. And the idea is to play h3. We also always have the option to take on h2, and if knight takes b6, rook b6, it doesn't really change anything, because we still have many attacking pieces. Knight on g4, knight on g6, pawn h3 coming, and rook h8 coming. All of black's army is actually concentrated at white's king side.
This Halloween.
Wow, for one split second, the position completely turned.
8 titled players.
The internet has my facial expression in every game, says CK.
Masks. Mystery.
And the loser takes his mask off.
Mayhem.
I don't see a move, but Freddy does see a move, because bishop takes b3, at least attacks the rook.
Unmask the fun.
Oh.
Finally.
Oh. And Halloween Killer, I think you can take your mask off now. Oh my words, it's a niche. No one knew it was a niche for that mask.
Shocking.
October 31st on Chess.com.
Welcome back to Week 6 of the 2023 Collegiate Chess League presented by SIG. Don't forget, you can use gaming skills in your career. Apply at sig.com/chess. And right now, you are watching UTRGV play against Mizzou, but we have even more chess for you after this with UT Dallas versus St. Louis University. I mean, the games today have been super exciting, haven't they, Joe?
For sure. That Gaja game we witnessed is going to be one for the history books. I'm sure there's going to be articles, highlight reels, you name it.
Absolutely. I'm already thinking about making a YouTube video for this. Whole new format of explaining chess coming right up to you. But currently, Mizzou is leading UTRGV 5.5 to 2.5. So, what is standing out to you for the next 2 rounds?
Well, right now, Mizzou only needs 3 points to get to that 8.5 point mark for the win. I think that they're definitely going to be able to do it with 2 rounds remaining. So they're just going to play their game. They're going to keep at it and secure the win. Whereas Texas, they're going to maybe rely on Gajic maybe for a comeback. They're definitely not out just yet. They could definitely get some points on the board before this is said and done. So even if they lose this match, those extra points they get in these last 2 rounds could be really important for tie breaks later on. But the match is still young, so I'm excited for these next 2 rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the next 2 rounds is going to decide a lot because now we are going to be seeing the top players play against their, the other top players. So the matches will be closer rated technically on paper. I don't actually even know how much of that is true, considering there's no strict regulation about having to put your highest rated player on board 1. So at least the games will always be interesting.
Yeah, I think Mizzou definitely has their team ordered appropriately. I think that Texas as well is trying to. At least the teams are submitting them by the strength of, to what they think. I think that we're using like Chess.com Blitz, maybe they're using FIDE. Regardless, like it's all play all format and they're all very strong. So like you said, these last 2 rounds, it's going to be the top boards versus the top boards, bottom boards versus bottom boards. So the ratings should be closer. The matches should be closer. I think that Texas is going to try their best to come back in these last 2 rounds, but I think Mizzou is going to be able to close it out here.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. I mean, I need Mizzou to score 4.5 over the next 2 rounds. So,
I think they could do it.
They could. They could, but
they might do better than that.
I feel like I might have overestimated. I think Gazic is playing really well, and then I think some of the other UTRGV might not be playing as well, and I think that's totally okay, but it's going to come down to some close matches for sure.
And speaking of Gajic, we see him playing against Antipov, who actually looks like he's doing pretty well. He just kicked that bishop back with his knight. Black's trying to play in the center. I think White maybe has just a solid position, right? I love the bishop on d3 pointing at h7. Maybe we already saw the Cyprus gift. We could see a Greek gift. Or even in this game, like h6. Antipov hasn't moved his bishop yet, so Black probably is going to castle kingside. I don't know where else you would go.
Yeah, I'm definitely not loving Black's opening choice here. It feels like he wasted time by playing bishop to f5 and bishop to d7. Of course, White also played knight h4 and knight f3, so it's not really Tempe lost, but the bishop is now back behind this wall of pawns, and this is what we call the typical French bishop, even though this opening did not start out as a French, it started out as an Alehin. So I'm not actually sure how we got here, but the result is that I prefer White's position a lot more. I think White has a much more comfortable position. He's got space. He's got a very strong pawn structure. Not a lot to be scared of here for White.
Yeah. And if Black ever does go for this castle, there's always these bishop h7 tactics with knight g5, but probably the bishop will go to e7 and guard the g5 square. But what do you think about delaying castling, right? There's really no urgency for them to castle, is there?
There is not really an urgency for them to castle because the center is so closed. So your king can't really get attacked when the center is closed. But I don't really think there is a point to delaying castling either, because what are you going to do? Attack on the king side? While your opponent's also not castled, I feel like we're sort of in this like little standstill. And also, do not play bishop takes c5 here. You lose a piece with this baby fork, so don't do that. But
Baby fork.
baby fork.
Baby shark.
Yeah, well, it's a baby fork if the pawn only moves forward one square. It's actually not a term coined by me. It's coined by Jake and Bake.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's from like a PogChamps, like three PogChamps back or something. But pawn forks are baby forks. But yeah, here White can just play knight b to d2 and protect this pawn. And once again, he has a fairly comfortable position.
Well, there goes b4 without the fork, but still forcing the knight to move. Knight dives in now. So that b4 move maybe makes a little bit of a weakness on c4. But maybe White can put some more pressure on that knight. No, it just takes it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So now the c-pawn's isolated, and you see White's developing with tempo against it. And I'm thinking a move like queen e2 makes a lot of sense to try to pile up on it.
Yeah, I think trying to go for the c4 pawn is going to be definitely White's idea, and Black is going to have a lot of difficulty with defending it. So probably the best bet here is to actually just give it up and worry about it. Worry about, getting compensation or something of that sort, because I don't really see a way to defend it at all.
Yeah. Well, looking at Gajik's camera, it looks like he's got a fan in the background, but I think after his last game, he might get a couple more fans.
I think I can safely say that we're all fans of Gazik right now. I mean, that was some really spectacular chess. I just like to see spectacular chess. It's cool.
But now he's kind of in a predicament. So like you said, gonna be tough to defend that. Maybe just like, oh, he's going for a sacrifice.
Wow.
So more excitement, but maybe it doesn't work this time.
This excitement feels a little bit more forced. It definitely feels like Gazik does not like losing a pawn. And one of the things about playing against grandmasters is that when you are down a pawn, you might be dying a very slow death. And that's not fun. And I can understand the way that Gazik feels about that. So he might feel like, oh, it's blitz. It's probably more fun to play this way. It actually probably also gives him more chances, because the chances of a grandmaster converting a position where they're simply up a pawn is very high. But what if you created some tactics and you just went for all of these fancy moves and your opponent's king is still like not castled? So yeah, I think this is a very good idea by Gazik over here.
Knight takes c4. Because the queen is overloaded.
Yes, the bishop on d7 will hang.
Yeah, so Gajik, great game. But looks like Antipov is going to enjoy this advantage, as well as the time advantage. It's quite significant, actually.
Yes, for sure. 3 minutes and 20 to 37 seconds. I mean, definitely not where you want to be as Black. Down a piece and down on time.
But Gajik's still fighting on. He takes this knight, which is defender of e5. And so I assume that pawn's going to fall, and that's going to come with tempo against the knight. And also, Antipov's king is really awkward. Like, what's this rook doing on h1?
What is this rook doing on h1 is a very good question. I'm not actually sure.
Antipov wishes it was a 960 position. He could still castle the rook over to f1.
Right. I definitely think that in this position, g takes f3 is better than queen takes f3. You're ruining your pawn structure, but at least after bishop takes e5, you have knight e4, and then you can put your king on g2. Whereas if you took with the queen, you would never be able to move your king up and then move your rook out. So at least this way, he's able to, get the rook out. I'm not really sure what Antipov is thinking in this position, but I actually think queen takes f3 can be a really big mistake. Okay, well, we see it.
Mm.
And this is why Gazik decided to go for this position. Because like I said, even though the eval bar really favors it for white, it's an engine. The engine can see every single perfect defense. The engine can see every perfect move. G takes f3 is not a very human move, and I understand that. But now Gazik does have to answer with 15 seconds left on his clock, and I actually don't love rook fc8. I think
Starting to take on c1.
it is. So this is a mate in one thread, but I think the chances of Antipov seeing this is pretty high.
I mean, maybe he thinks his rook is on f1.
Yeah, maybe he does. Maybe he just forgets.
Man, he's really lucky he accidentally developed his bishop defending against mate.
Mm-hmm. Not planned out at all.
See, he might go rook c1 here.
Yeah, rook c1 here would be quite terrible. Definitely a losing move. Safe moves for white here are rook e1 or rook to f1. And I don't know. I really don't. I don't know if one's better than the other. They look more or less the same to me. But I would actually say white's position is slightly uncomfortable. Black definitely getting his compensation. I mean, don't forget, he does have 2 pawns for the piece. So it's not like really even that bad. He's technically only down a point. With lots of compensation.
Is it crazy? I'm going to predict that Gajic pulls this one off and wins.
Really?
Why not?
He has 13 seconds.
I believe in him.
I'm much more concerned about his 13 seconds than the fact that he's down a piece.
But 13 seconds, that's all he needs.
Now rook c1. He missed rook c1.
Oh, he's gonna have to give up the queen.
Yeah, he's gonna have to give up the queen. You did, because now the rook on c6 is attacked twice. So if you move the queen, you lose the rook on c6.
He's just gonna flag.
Yeah, he's just gonna flag. Oh, you jinxed him. If he didn't play rook to c6, I think he had a very good chance. He just has to go queen b3 and play this position slow and recognize that white now has weakened his king position, and you still have a passed pawn as Gazik with a dark sword bishop, so you have plenty of chances. Very unfortunate game.
Yeah, there was something there for black, but unfortunately, like you said, the time proved to be the deciding factor, leading to his game-ending blunder.
For sure. And I was saying, like, you know, I'm much more worried about his time than I am about the fact that he's down a piece. I think the time is the factor that killed him, not the piece. But that it happens for sure. He had a really good game last game. This game had the potential to be really interesting, but unfortunately, time got the better of him. The Joe Bruin jinx.
Some would say that I Bruined it.
That's actually kind of a good one.
I've heard it before.
Nice.
Okay, so we do have another result as we see in Bird's Eye. So it looks like Osnir gets a point for Texas, taking down Luca.
Wow.
And we have 2 games left in this 3rd round.
Josiah is looking like he's having a very good tournament so far.
And they're both pretty low on time. Actually, all the games are, but maybe we tune in for Josiah's game because it looks like he's trying to push his advantage.
Absolutely, yes. We love seeing games in which people try to push their advantage. Wow. Knight's just going to b7. Josiah probably not too scared here. Just will play rook to d7, keep it safe and solid. White definitely going for that draw in this position, which is very interesting because black has a very strong center. He does have to keep the d pawn protected, so I think Josiah is trying to figure out how to do so. But this bishop f3 tactic came in looking really cute. But rook to g1 just safely defending against checkmate, and now the bishop has to retreat to not lose the bishop.
So Druska's getting that pawn. I wonder if you wanted to show what happened if white took that bishop.
Yeah, absolutely. So instead of rook g1, if you play g takes f3, there is mate in 5 with e takes f3 because, okay, so first of all, you can't really go rook to g1 because of rook e1. So after rook takes e8, there's still rook takes e8, right? And then after rook to g1, only move defending against checkmate. There is now
just rook e1. Wow.
Rook e1. I know. It's crazy.
Beautiful. And you have to see that when you play bishop f3.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Okay, so these pawns that you mentioned for Josiah are being pushed, but Josiah's got 1 second.
Josiah literally has 1 second. A lot of really tight games this week.
Oh my goodness. So that pawn on e2, I don't know how you're going to get rid of it.
You're not. You're just not getting rid of it. That seems like a very painful pawn to deal with.
Oh,
I'm
he
not
loses the
jealous.
knight.
Yeah. So
Nice
Josiah
conversion there.
played very well played games today, for sure. It's been
So
fun.
that's another point for Mizzou. They're actually, I think, within 1 now of winning the match, and there's 1 game to go in round 3.
Indeed. 1 game to go in round 3. So I'm pretty sure that my prediction will fail. This is now a table-based draw.
You gotta believe in yourself.
Well, I don't know. I don't actually mind. I kind of like an underdog story, you know? So I'm like secretly cheering sort of for UTRGV because they are an underdog. Mizzou is just such a well-known chess school, but UTRGV I haven't seen that much of. And I've been really enjoying their games this week.
Okay, so obviously the computer's showing this is a draw, but which side would you prefer?
I would prefer to take black side. I think it's much easier playing with 2 pass pawns and the potential to make a 3rd one instead of playing with just the knight. But, you know, black has to be really careful here, actually.
1 second. He's gonna flag if he doesn't.
Oh, wow. Everybody here needs to play a little faster.
Oh, I'm getting nervous. 2 seconds. 1 second. Just move.
Just move. He's thinking. He's overthinking it. Is he trying to win?
God.
Or what?
He's gonna flag.
Ow! My
Oh
God,
my
no, dude.
Goodness. Dude, then.
All he has
That's
to
rough.
do is... I mean, I think every move here is a draw.
All he has to do is move.
Yeah, all he has to do is move. I think every move here is a draw.
And you see he's disappointed. Even though we don't see his face, you see his hand gestures.
Oh, wow. It's rough. I mean, Gleb Duden definitely has not had the best day so far.
And with that win from Oparin, that dirty flag, if you'd call it that, gives Mizzou the 8.5 point mark that they need to win the match. And this final round is going to be played out for the board points, which are used for tie breaks later on in the season.
And also for the pleasure of our gambling, because we like to put predictions on these matches. And Joe, would you like to remind us who you said was going to win?
Well, I predicted Mizzou 9.5 to 6.5, so I kind of need UTRGV to win this last round 3-1. And you know, I think they could do it.
It's true. I mean, they definitely could. I'm feeling a little bit better about my prediction. I was fully expecting that last game that we watched to be a draw. I'm not going to lie. So now I'm like only 1.5 points off of my prediction, which I don't mind. It's 10 subs to the correct caster.
I might need chat to bail me out if you win this.
That is totally fair. I won't hold you to it. But these games have been really fun. I hope everybody who has joined us today has been enjoying the games as well. And if you haven't, you're welcome to keep that opinion to yourself. We don't want to hear it. But only...
No. We have some SLU and Dallas fans waiting for the next match.
Indeed, we do. But this first match of the day has been extremely exciting. Of course, I feel like their time usage could have been a little better, but I don't know if Duden has played in this tournament so far. It's like my first time hearing his name.
I think he's definitely played before. We just haven't watched a lot of UTRGV's matches. So a lot of weeks they've rescheduled or their opponents needed to reschedule. But we're definitely going to see and hear a lot more from this UTRGV team. Even though they're not getting the result that they wanted today, they definitely still have the potential to make a long shot in the playoffs. They're definitely going to be able to clinch. They probably have playoffs clinched already. They're definitely making it. But where they're going to end up and how they're going to do is still to be determined. And obviously, as we've seen today, they have a lot of potential to have some exciting chess. So definitely expect to see more from them.
Yeah, for sure. exciting chess today. I hope you guys have been having fun, and also we are now going to be going into the very last round of this first match of the day. And for the last round, every board one is playing board 1 is playing board 1, board 2 is playing board 2, and all that. And we've got Gazik playing against Oparin. So this is a very tough matchup. Both players are grandmasters, and Oparin being 3002 rated on Chess.com, with Gazik being 2916. Very tight ratings as well.
Yeah, that 3,000 rating is looking pretty good. There's only a handful of people in the world that could get to 3,000 blitz, and Oparin is one of them.
How many people?
He's got a perfect VO score right now.
He does. How many people are 3,000 blitz on Chess.com?
That's a great question. Any stats, people?
Any Chess.com employees over here that might be able to pull up the charts?
Well, in the CCL, there's actually a handful. I think SLU actually has their team average over 3,000.
Wait, that's crazy. Really?
Yeah. Nico, I think, is like 3,200.
Oh, that is absolutely insane. I did not know that at all. I'm still that's like almost 1,000 points higher rated than me. That's insane.
It's like over 1,000 higher than me.
That's crazy. Someone's like less than 1 million. At least one. At least one person is, yes, correct.
Yeah, we're watching right now.
we're watching the at least one right now. Yeah, I mean,
actually, we're expecting to watch Nico Theodoru play in the St. Louis matchup after this. But he's playing the Grand Swiss. Can someone check if his game's finished or not? Because we kind of need to know that.
Wait, he's going to play right after the Grand Swiss?
Yeah, he's doing a doubleheader today.
Is he crazy or what? Or he's just like role playing Hikaru?
Well, I mean, Hikaru's not playing in CCL.
He's not, but no, I mean, Hikaru will play some major tournament and jump into Title Tuesday right after.
Yeah, well, maybe is Hikaru missing out on Bullet Brawl because of the Grand Swiss?
Probably is, yeah.
He could simul, I'm sure.
You think that they would let him? Wouldn't that be amazing if one day chess organizers were like, yeah, you can choose and pick which tournaments you want to play today?
You just have the iPhone
Yeah.
on the table next to you. Your opponent probably wouldn't like that.
No, probably not. But that would be pretty wild. I mean, actually, I don't know. I feel like if I was the opponent, I would want Hikaru to do that because then I have a better chance of beating Hikaru. But at the same time, if I still lose to Hikaru,
Oh yeah,
then that's very embarrassing.
yeah. I think that would definitely happen to me.
Yeah, it's like losing against my opponent that is actually simuling 2 tournaments at the same time. Probably not for me, but I don't know. There are definitely times when I wish that I could, do commentary and maybe play a tournament or something like that. I definitely feel that vibe, but I would not be able to do it. It just takes so much mental energy for both.
All right, so we have this matchup here. Oparin with the black pieces. He's actually a little low on time. Gajic coming off of that loss in the last round against Antipov. Do you think that he's got better chances here? It looks like I like white so far.
I definitely like white so far. I definitely think white's position is looking very, very solid. However, this knight on f3 might pose some problems for Gazik. You do not want to play bishop takes f3 because after g takes, you cannot take back with the queen because of bishop to c4, which is a discovery attack, winning your knight and threatening your queen. So can't do all of that. But I think king to h1 is a very safe answer.
Yeah. If you're not taking the knight, king h1's kind of the thing to do. So
yeah.
What's Victor thinking about?
Well, I think Victor is thinking about how he can make this position more complicated than it needs to be. I definitely think Victor is a type that just wants to have fun with his chess. But to be fair, we've only seen like 2 of his games. Sorry, 3 of his games. So maybe my assumption of him is wrong.
Well, I would hope that everyone playing chess is trying to have fun.
It's true.
um, just as a reminder that these games are voluntarily played. We're not forcing anyone to be here.
Wow. No, just because you're signed on to a school that is commonly known as a chess school does not mean you actually. Don't you think they do have that requirement? I think some of these players might actually have a requirement for the scholarship to play a certain number of games for their school for the year.
Well, that's a good point. I think it's up to the coach probably or
Okay.
the program. I'm not even sure, but I do know that these scholarship schools existed before the existence of the CCL. So if they're using the CCL to guarantee they're getting enough games in or something, that'd actually be kind of interesting because they are also playing in Pan Am's, of course, Final Four if they qualify. And we actually have a U.S. College Rapid and Blitz tournament. Actually, the Rapid is coming up tomorrow. So a lot of these players are going to be playing tomorrow as well.
That's very exciting. Who do you think is going to win that one?
That's a great question. Last year, I think Webster won. So they're maybe going to try to defend and repeat. But I think also the Blitz, I think like Oparin and Antipov were definitely up there from this Mizzou team. So yeah, we're watching Oparin right now. Like we said, he's one of the best players in the world, over 3,000 rated. He's definitely going to be looking to try to get some more titles before he graduates.
Right. I was also going to say, I'm kind of, not surprised, I would say, but I am aware of the fact that Mizzou faced an upset last week, as in they suffered an upset loss. But this week, they are looking stronger than ever. They are currently in round 4 with 9.5 to 3.5. I mean, you think they had like a team prep session? They had a little talking to, and everybody's like, yeah, we can't let that happen again.
They just added Oparin.
They just added Oparin, that too.
Yeah,
Oparin came
that
back.
was the prep that they needed. I mean, it's crazy to think like how much one player difference makes. But if you're thinking about it, if you lose your top board, you have to bring them in for a board 4, right?
Right.
Who last week their board 4 lost all 4 of their games against a strong EL team. So
really,
yeah, the difference between Oparin versus like a substitute player is tremendous in that like in one hand you're gaining 4 points and the other you're losing 4 points.
that makes a big difference.
Yeah, and that ended up being the difference in why they lost their first match of the season against Yale.
That's crazy. I was not aware that Yale's team was this good. I mean, unfortunately, we missed it because we were at TwitchCon in Vegas, but, really happy for Yale. And I guess it does really show that Oparin is a very important member of University of Missouri.
And we did see Yale, I think, the week before Vegas, and their top board, Grandmaster Nicolas Checa, had a rough showing. But I think last week against Mizzou, he either had like a perfect score, was like 3.5 out of 4 or something crazy. So he
Wow.
definitely brought his A game, and that was crucial for their win over Mizzou.
That's amazing. That's truly amazing. I'm so happy for them.
All right, so this game's getting down to the wire. They're both under a minute, and looks like White just picked up an A pawn, so they have a passed pawn now. Do you think Gaji's going to close this out, or do you think Oparin's going to defend?
I think Gazik's going to close this one out. Although it could be really hard, I just think this bishop is so strong, and it's also exactly on the square in which this pawn needs to promote. So Gazik kind of has a built-in, pawn pushing mechanic over here. He just has to somehow figure out a way to get this rook out of front of his pawn, maybe back up his pawn a little bit and just go for promotion. I think it can look really, really good for him here.
H3, kind of a crazy move because is the pawn pinned? Because you could take the bishop, but then your bishop hangs with check.
Bishop hangs with check, but no piece is lost, and now there's all these ideas on the H file, and with these knights, I think this is just totally fine for Gazik, but I think Black has also recognized that. Whoa, rook takes d6. Gazik loves to sacrifice his pieces. If we've learned one thing, it's that he does not shy away from sacrificing.
Yeah, that was awesome. Double X. I mean, how many brilliant moves can one player play in a single CCL match?
Apparently, he's at 4, right? Is it more than 4? It
He's
might be
trying
more
to
than
set
4.
some records.
Yeah, I think
I mean,
he's
that
hit.
last game might have had 3 alone.
That's pretty crazy. I don't know when the last time I got a brilliant move is, so he's gotten 4 today.
And it looks like he's trying to close this out with checkmate threat on g6. Wow. Wow.
Checkmate threat on g6, and the rook on a2 is forked. So Oparin
Dude,
actually
Godric.
resigns. Wow.
I mean, yeah, we're talking about how good Oparin is. Oparin is just gone after that. He just resigned, logged off. He's out. But their team still got the win. But as we said earlier, this UTRGV team has a ton of talent, and they're definitely having it on display here today.
Yeah, I'm pretty it's pretty crazy that Gazik has just played spectacular chess. I mean, we are going to see all the results come in very soon, with one last game between Antipov and Dudin, which is actually a theoretical draw. So hopefully he doesn't flag. Oh my god, the clock is running a little too tight. He is playing on those last few seconds every single game, and it's making me very, very anxious for him because he's had actually a really good showing, and we do get the draw. I do feel like Dudin at least deserved a draw this tournament. So, I mean this match. So he does get that.
Oh my gosh, Nemo. Your prediction was so close. Wait, is it updated? I think that you were just barely off.
I was just barely off. Wait, was I 10-6 or 11-5? I don't remember now. I was 10-6,
I think
right?
you're 10-6, yeah.
Okay, I was 10-6. Oh, I was so close. I mean, 11-5 though. I was not expecting that. I don't think I was expecting that.
Yeah, me neither. And I think that you beat me. Like, I think you beat me earlier, but this is definitely a better prediction by you. So, congrats.
Thank you. I feel like I sort of hedged, and I was like, well, if Joe is betting 9.5, right? You were betting 9.5 for Mizzou. I think Mizzou's going to win by slightly more than that, but I was not expecting them to win by 11-5. 11-5 is very, very crazy. But
yeah,
also, props to the Mizzou team. I think personally, Gazik's games from UTRGV were my favorite games of the day. I do think he had an amazing showing. He had an amazing performance. He got like 4 brilliancies or something like that. And one match. And that's really hard to get. When's the last time you got 4 brilliancies, chat? Have you even gotten a brilliancy ever? No, I'm completely joking. But regardless, I think these games were absolutely amazing. So we are going to actually have another match. Joe, what do you think is going to happen in the next match?
SLU versus Dallas. These are 2 of the top teams in the league. I'm really excited for it. I think SLU's obviously the favorite, but we don't even know if Nico's going to be playing. Is he still in the Grand Swiss right now? Tune in and find out.
Wait, so if Nico's not playing, who do they have?
They'll have a
like,
sub.
They just have a sub ready. Somebody is just like sitting around like okay, great. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. But before we go to that, we do have Halloween Banter Blitz. This Halloween, 8 masked players compete in the 4th edition of the Halloween Mystery Banter Blitz. The players' identities will be revealed upon elimination, but who will don their spooky mask until the end to take home the winner's crown? Tune in to the Halloween Blitz event on October 31st at 12 p.m. Eastern and use command Halloween Blitz in the Chess.com chat to read up on the event. And also, guys, don't forget, Joe is going to be doing both of the interviews today. He is going to be interviewing Josh Levine and also Jared Ankerman, a poker player. So we're really excited for that. We are going to be going on break, but don't forget, guys, Danny Wrench will also be hosting Chess.com State of Chess on Monday, October 30th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Let's check in with our Chief Chess Officer to see what he is up to. In the meantime,
are live in Oslo, Norway. It's a beautiful day, a beautiful summer. You know the drill, we've done this before. Ma'am, do you mind if I ask you some questions real quick? When I say chess, what's the first word that comes to your mind?
Game? Puzzle.
Puzzle, that's brilliant.
Chess, horse.
Smart.
Black and white.
Black and white. That's 2 words, but I'm gonna let it pass. If I say chess, what's the first word that comes to your mind? I don't know if I have any other questions for you. Okay, when I say strategy, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Puzzle.
Puzzle, oh my God. Magnus Carlsen.
Chess.
The answer was puzzle, actually. That was the correct answer. That's okay, though. Okay.
Yeah, I love chess.
You do love chess.
Yeah.
Do you play chess?
Yeah, sometimes.
You play chess online?
Yeah.
Where do you play?
Chess.com.
You play on Chess.com, of course. Do you know who Magnus Carlsen is?
No.
Okay. Could you name any world chess champion?
We should not.
I knew you were going to say that. Obviously, you know who Magnus Carlsen is,
Sure.
right?
He's a hero.
You know how good he is?
The best?
Yeah, he's the best, right?
Yeah.
Has Norway changed now that Magnus isn't the world champion?
Yeah, it's kind of a bit more sad vibe.
Yeah. Do you know that he's no longer the world chess champion?
I did not know that.
Yeah. So you didn't know why you felt sad, and now you know why.
Yeah, I guess he'll get back up
He'll
there.
get back. Do you know why?
No.
He left chess to become a footballer.
Actually.
Yeah, actually.
I think it's very different, chess and football.
Yeah. But he's an athlete, so he can pull it off.
It makes sense.
It makes sense, right?
I don't know who he is.
You don't know who Magnus Carlsen
No.
is? Okay. He's a professional footballer, one of the most well-known in Norway.
Okay.
Okay, so
Sorry, I'm not from here.
Okay.
I heard there was a huge chess tournament thing where he accused another player of cheating.
That's true. Do you know anything about that scandal? Have we done our job, Oslo? Oslo, they are an educated chess city, a city of deep thinking people, a city of beautiful people, a city where chess comes to life.
October is here, and so are some familiar faces. Martin learned chess just to play with his kids, and occasionally the family dog. A workaholic, Philip hopes chess will help him relax before he works his fingers to the bone. Laura the librarian loves to learn, and has recently developed a penchant for spell chess. An aspiring influencer and self-proclaimed meme queen, Isla can be a monster on the board when she puts her mind to it. Paul Morphy's undying genius lives on to this day through his immortal opera game. Just your average old bots, nothing else to see here. Play them all on Chess.com.
I'd classify trading as a game really that you're playing with competitors and basically every market participant in the world. My path, I came in as a poker player, but I think that the main thing that everybody has in common is a sense of competitiveness and interest in gaming and strategy in general. Yes, you can actually use gaming skills for your career and for something to do on a day-to-day basis.
Welcome back, everyone. And with that, before match 2 begins, it's time for our career opportunities for chess enthusiast segment presented by SIG. My name is Joe, and I'm joined by the one, the only Josh Levine from Chess.com. He is our CTO. He's our fearless leader. He's the guy that's kind of responsible for making sure everything's working properly. He's staying up late, making sure the servers are working. He's doing a great job. And Josh, I wanted to ask you, first and foremost, what is it that you do at Chess.com, and what is your personal connection to chess?
Well, thanks so much for having me here, Joe. And at Chess.com, as the CTO, well, I tell all the team members in engineering and in QA and in product, when they're working for Chess and for Chess.com, I work for them. My job is to make their life easier, better, make things easier over time to build, to deploy to the websites and all the apps and everything. I really just support the team and try to build the best chess software in the world.
That's awesome. And it's definitely very much appreciated. I know that you and the team are working really hard to make all that possible. I definitely see you guys working on late hours, which is kind of crazy sometimes, but you guys are always on your toes, and we appreciate it because that helps us play. So I wanted to ask you, obviously chess is a big part of what you do, but let's say you didn't work for Chess.com. How could you still use chess or maybe your gaming skills in general to kind of use that as like an application? Because there's a lot of college kids watching this, and maybe you can help give them some advice.
Yeah, I mean, my first advice, and one of the reasons I love chess, is because it acts as a stimulant for your visual space. And being able to see in your mind a picture of the future helps you plan and reach that future, right? So I think that's the number one takeaway, is that thinking ahead is a good idea. It'll, prevent you from blundering your queen, but it'll also help you, say the right thing or find the right connection or, deliver awesome on the job that you're trying to do. So I think of gaming skills and chess skills very similarly in that way, in that we got to think ahead. So that's my advice, is try to see what are the possible moves, right? Don't limit yourself by that opportunity might not be for me just because I don't have that skill or I don't have that experience, and just try to take those steps forward. And in the end, I don't know if it's like this in gaming. I mean, it sort of is. I play a lot of games online, and I'm usually matched with random opponents. But in career, relationships are so important. So really treat everybody kindly, and just try to pay it forward. If you know something that someone doesn't know, try to become the teacher in that moment. And if someone knows something that you don't know, it's really important to really honor that and be the student in those cases. So just like for me, when I get trounced in chess, I try to do a game review and figure out what I did wrong. It's very similar in life and career. And as long as you're open and honest about that, people will try to help you and support you.
That was really beautiful. Thank you. And I agree. There's so many parallels between chess and just gaming in general, and how you can use that to further your career and make good choices. So before you go, Josh, my last question to you, I'm curious, what is the project that you've been most proud to work on at Chess.com? And if you could share about anything that's coming up in the future, I think a lot of people will be excited to hear about that as well.
Love it. I don't want to give away all the secrets. But my number one favorite project that I've had the opportunity to work on is like growing and developing the team of engineers and everybody else at Chess.com. It's a magical place to work. And we're all on the same mission to grow the game of chess. And I'm just privileged to be a part of that and give people opportunities to join and do their best work in that. So I would say the number one project I'm most proud of is like supporting the team and what all y'all do. If you're watching, thank you. And then, I think some of the stuff that's coming out that's super cool. We're always on the lookout to make chess more stable and lower latencies across the entire world. So let's look out for some of that. And then, especially if you're playing a bullet game, you want that to be super snappy. So I'm onto that tip. And then there's a lot of stuff coming out to make chess more fun and more exciting. I love the things we're doing on broadcast, right? And then I also, I'm really keen on just some of the other mechanics that we're putting together to just make it more fun and enjoyable to sort of show your identity on Chess.com. And have that be a part of your gameplay. So I think all of those things are really, really cool. There's so much more, don't get me wrong. We're storing today 15 billion chess games. We're going to store many, many billions more. So we're excited about all the stuff under the covers as well, from the database all the way through to what you see on your app or on the screen.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for all that you do, Josh. We're definitely honored and privileged to have you on the Chess.com team, as well as on the broadcast to share some of your thoughts with us and all the viewers. And just a really quick note, Josh is also giving a lecture to some of our ambassadors in the College Ambassador Program. So definitely try to get into that if you're interested. But we're going to go on a quick break before our next guest from SIG.
Thanks, y'all.
We developed a knight out to f6, and after nearly any of white's moves, for example, short castle, we play b5, bishop to b3, and bishop c5, and this is the introduction to the Archangel. My name is Fabian Caruana, and I'm a chess grandmaster, and here I welcome you to my course, Caruana's Ruy Lopez Dark Archangel. This course will provide you with a full repertoire with the black pieces against the Ruy Lopez. So let's say after h5, white plays h3, because white can always take on b6. Black plays h4, bishop h2, g4. We've seen this idea, we need to open up the king side. We need to play for the initiative. Take, and we take with the knight. And the idea is to play h3. We also always have the option to take on h2, and if knight takes b6, rook b6, it doesn't really change anything, because we still have many attacking pieces. Knight on g4, knight on g6, pawn h3 coming, and rook h8 coming. All of black's army is actually concentrated at white's king side.
This Halloween,
Wow, for one split second, the position completely turned.
8 titled players.
The internet has my facial expression in every game, says CK.
Masks. Mystery.
And the loser takes his mask off.
Mayhem.
I don't see a move, but Freddy does see a move, because bishop takes b3, at least attacks the rook.
Unmask the fun.
Oh.
Finally.
Oh. And Halloween Killer, I think you can take your mask off now. Oh my words, it's a niche. No one knew it was a niche for that mask.
Shocking.
October 31st on Chess.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to week 6 of the Collegiate Chess League presented by SIG. My name is Joe, and I'm joined by one of our guests from SIG, Jared Ankenman, who has quite the resume. I'm so excited to introduce him all to you. Jared, you are the Director of U.S. Sports Research at SIG, which sounds amazing. Welcome, and can you tell us what exactly that means? What do you do?
Yeah, sure. So in some sense, I have a really, really cool job, which is that we have a sports betting operation that operates in Dublin, Ireland, and like bets in the European markets. And then we have also some things going on in the United States, even though it's a little harder for us to bet here because the books in the United States are sort of committed to the idea that nobody with a brain should be able to make any bets. But we're working on various business opportunities and so on and so forth. And so I have a team of quantum technologists here in the US who are building models, both pregame and in-game, to like predict the outcomes of sporting events as they go on, and also as before the game starts. And we use those both here and abroad to make bets and win money. So that's a pretty cool job, and they pay me to do it. So it's pretty exciting, I have to say.
That is so cool, and obviously sports betting is pretty big, and like you said, it's maybe a little difficult in the US, but I know you're working on that, and I wanted to ask, like, how connected are you to chess, and maybe is there a future for chess betting in the future?
So, so my connection to chess is like, I'm kind of a dabbler. I have many friends who are like, really good at chess, and I've definitely gotten back into it in the last couple of years to some extent. I've kind of played off and on over the years, but I'm definitely not any kind of like chess player. I've been, probably like in the 1500, 1600 range in like normal time controls. And so nothing like that special, but I do like to tell people, well, if you think you can beat me, you probably can, and if you don't think you can, you probably can't. That's kind of the thing. As far as chess betting is concerned, I mean, the big issues around chess betting, I think, are sort of that like the games are a little bit predictable in the that we have pretty solid ratings, and everybody kind of knows a lot of things about how good the players are relative to one another, what the chances are of various things happening. But there's no real reason other than interest that people believing that such and such a player has a better shot than the market or whatever beliefs couldn't be just as good as sports betting. So I don't see why that wouldn't be a thing. I mean, there is a limited amount of betting on things like the World Championship matches and so on and so forth, but I don't think it's a gigantic market at this time, and we haven't done any research on it. But I think also just the strength of ELO ratings and like telling you how good everybody is compared to each other, like really like short circuits I really like the Yankees today. You don't really have that kind of uncertainty that helps betting operations and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I think it would be really cool if the Collegiate Chess League could maybe get some chess betting in action, because obviously at the top level with the ELO, it's very easy to predict, like you said, but the CCL also has like 23 divisions, so maybe at the lower levels there'd be
that would be quite interesting. And like, I mean, people with knowledge would, knowledge of the players might have a pretty good advantage there. I'm not sure that I would feel super confident making markets on, Division 10 of the CCL. I think it's like really kind of an unknown kind of thing.
Yeah. A lot of those players aren't really quite well known in the chess world, but that'd be really cool. So thank you for that.
You bet.
So something that a lot of people maybe don't know about you, that's I think a really cool fun fact, is that you're actually the winner of the 2009 World Series of Poker, which is so incredible and so cool.
That's right.
Obviously, poker is a big part of SIG and their roots. And I was wondering if you could maybe share some advice with our viewers on how they could use their own personal gaming experiences to help them in their careers.
Sure. I mean, I think that's right. So I won. The World Series of Poker is a series of events, and there are like kind of piles of them. So I did win this $2,500 8-game mix, and I have this bracelet that they gave me, and it was very exciting at the time. You can find there was an interview that I did, and they asked me, "Isn't it really exciting to win the bracelet?" And I was like, "Well, I actually cared about the money, because at that time I was a professional, and I was not there to like win, like these things. Now that I've sort of been out of like mainstream high limit poker for a long time, I'm kind of glad that I have the bracelet. It's a fun like thing to have and that kind of thing. But at SIG, we do use poker and in our trader training quite extensively, and that's another thing that I do there. With some of my time is teach our like upcoming traders basically to play poker well, and we believe that the mind processes and the neural pathways that light up in good traders are very, very similar to the pathways that light up for poker players, and that the decision processes are quite similar. And so it's a nice way to do something that is not directly trading, that is like basically like mind muscle memory for the kinds of decisions that you make while trading. So the link between poker and trading is quite strong. We have tried using many other games, board games and other card games, and even like chess and things like that. And poker seems to be the best at lighting up those pathways. Now, that being said, I think like chess is also quite good. We have several strong chess players at the firm, including GM Andrew Tang, and like any kind of strategic game that like teaches you to think ahead, teaches you to anticipate what's going to happen in as the future unfolds, teaches you to like understand like those strategic elements is going to be good. The randomness element of poker is a lot like what the market in trading feels like, and so there is an extra bonus there. So that's why we think that poker is sort of stronger. But we do find that like many of our strong candidates for trading and our traders are like excellent chess players as well because of the strategic thing. So in terms of using your gaming experience to do well in business, I mean, I think like decision making is at the heart of every successful endeavor. So if you can make good decisions, like train yourself to make good, unbiased as well as you can, to eliminate whatever like misapprehensions you have about what's going on, and make good decisions across the board whenever you're faced with something. I mean, that's just the key to success. And while any particular decision might work out well or badly, like if you make enough good decisions, you're going to like reap the like long-term benefits of all that like sort of additional like utility, expectation, whatever it is that you're winning by making better decisions than you otherwise would have. So
that's awesome. That's so cool that you can use your poker and just general gaming experience to help you make good decisions in the real world and for your career. So hopefully a lot of our viewers that play chess or poker or any other game can take your advice and use that to help them get a start to their career. So I do have one last question for you. As if winning a World Series of Poker bracelet isn't cool enough, you're also a co-author of the book The Mathematics of Poker. So you wrote a book on the mathematics of poker, which is incredible. And I wanted to know, first and foremost, do you think you could write a sequel, maybe like Mathematics of Chess? And if not you, maybe you have some advice for some aspiring authors out there on how to write a book on their hobby?
So, sure. All right. So the book was a very interesting endeavor that was actually kind of proposed by people who are not me, and they were talking about doing it for a very long time. And then when I came into that circle, I had some different ideas about how we should do the book, and I was sort of willing to work on it, and like we kind of got going. And the idea was that we wanted to write a book that talked about game theory as applies to poker. This was a field that is well known now, and is like part of the arsenal of all top players, and is like the solvers and the what they're doing is amazing. And this was 2006, and a lot of these ideas had not been like widely applied or even widely propagated. It wasn't anything that wasn't known, but it was like in the mathematical sense, but it was things that not many people knew about. And so we wrote this book, and while many books from that time are like completely dated and like kind of just like, oh, this is kind of lost its thing, people seem to think that our book still has some insights, and some of the people who are doing the amazing work that's being done now have like pointed back to it. So I'm kind of proud if our book like had some ideas that led to something that helped the people who are doing the awesome work now do that kind of stuff. Now, in terms of writing a book about what you're doing, I will give you a story that in 2005 or 4 and 5, when we were writing this book, poker was extremely lucrative, and the hours that we spent writing this book probably could have been spent making money at poker and so on and so forth. But we decided not to do that. I'm happy that we wrote this book, and it's kind of like a nice achievement that we had. In terms of writing a book about the mathematics of chess, I hardly would be qualified to like what would even be like the cutting edge interesting mathematics stuff. I think things about engines, things about interpreting engine outputs and understanding that kind of thing might be quite interesting to a limited subset of people. That's what we thought about our book. It ended up with a somewhat wider audience than we anticipated, which was like kind of cool. I don't know how many of those people bought our book and put it on the shelf and never opened it. That's fine with me. I don't mind. But in terms of like writing a book about what you're doing, the best thing to do is just start writing stuff. I don't think there's any substitute for, oh no, I have to come up with a very careful plan and I have to like know exactly what it's going to be all the way. It's still like just starting writing down chapters, ideas, things that you're at. Later, put it all together, edit it up, try to figure out how you're going to make it all flow and be a theme. But until you have a bunch of work done, you can just do that kind of haphazardly, just kind of like writing down ideas and stuff like that, and then come back. To me, that's the best way to get started, because it's not a novel. You're not going to probably write like 20 of these. If you're an experienced book writer, then you already know how to do it. But if you're like, I'm trying to write a book about my hobby, the thing to do is start writing and then come back later and like organize and stuff like that. I mean, that would be my advice to an aspiring, writer of mathematics of chess. Boy, that'd be interesting.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, and I'm glad that you're proud of your bracelet and your book. You should definitely be proud of those accomplishments, and I'm sure SIG is very proud to have you representing them. And I'm proud to have met you today. So thank you for being here.
You bet.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it was nice being here, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk.
All right. Well, that was Jared Inkenman from SIG. That was great. And now we're going to go back to our remaining match for today. We're going to bring Nemo back in, and we're going to watch some awesome, exciting chess. All right, so we've got Dallas taking on Slew. Dallas is the #1 seed currently, the undefeated 5-0. And Slew is the #1 seed in the standings from before the season started, but they just lost their first match of the season last week to UTRGV. So, Nemo, who do you have in this match? And maybe I'll let you give the prediction first. All right, well, it looks like we have the match about to begin, which is very exciting. This is the last match of today, and Dallas is going to try to hold on to their undefeated record. If they could go 6-0, I think that'll clinch a top 2 spot for them, which is Very exciting. Not only do they get a bye in the first round, but that actually qualifies them for semifinals immediately, which puts them in the money, actually. And the Collegiate Chess League has $50,000 in prizes every school year. That's going to be $25,000 in the first semester and another 25 next semester. Division 1 alone has, I think, 9,000 in prizes, with the first place prize being $5,000, which is quite a significant amount for these college clubs. So if one of these schools could lock a top 2 spot today, they're already in the money, which is huge. So I'm excited to see if SLU can take down Dallas and try to reclaim their top spot. As we can see here, we've got Ivan, top board from Dallas, an all 4 GM squad from this Dallas team. Whereas SLU, it looks like they actually don't have Theodoru. They're going to go with their top 3 GMs plus their board 4 women international masters, Sila Kaglar. So that's going to be very interesting to see how they can hold up. They last week didn't have Theodoru and lost to UTRGV, and that actually maybe because they were missing their top player. But the good news for SLU is they still have a great chance, and they only lost to UTRGV by 1 point, so it was still super close. SLU's going to still try to beat Dallas, and Dallas is going to try to hold on to that top spot. So I'm very excited to see these games.
As much as I'm excited to just listen to Joe talk, I think I do have to chime in here. That was very nice by you. You were asking me about my prediction for SLU, and I'm actually glad that I was muted because I was so excited that Nicolas came back, and we pulled up the matchups, and I realized that no, he is not back. That's very unfortunate, but that's okay. I think we do have games starting here between basically all the games have started over here, and we have Dan Basurin versus David coming out. Whoa.
Yeah. Looks like they got a lot of moves in already, and a couple pins going on with those bishops on the knights.
It definitely looks that way. It definitely looks like these are going to be some extremely powerful bishops. As a reminder, these are going to be really exciting, intense games. SLU is missing their top board, unfortunately, but I've just received information that this is not Dembasura. But we'll figure it all out. Don't worry about it, Chess Sweep. Thank you very much for letting us know. It's all good.
Yeah, always a pleasure to have an expert in the chat like Chess Weave. The guy knows all the ins and outs of the chess world, the chess players themselves.
In it himself, right? He's been actually participating in this entire tournament. He's been all here.
We need to have Chess Weave as a guest one of these days.
We really do. I feel like he can give us such good insight.
Yeah, he knows the history. I mean, do you know why there's like 3 scholarship schools in Texas and like 3 in Missouri?
I do not actually. Why is that?
I was hoping that you'd know.
Oh, wait, you were asking me? Oh, I just assumed it was because, like, there's so Lex Sinkfield is one of the biggest promoters of chess and biggest sponsors for chess, so they kind of popped up around him. But I don't know if there was like something specific I was supposed to know, like, in 2001, he wanted to create this scholarship.
I'll let maybe Chessweave correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but I think that you're right. Rex Sinkfield in St. Louis has been a huge part of why St. Louis University and even Mizzou have chess scholarship teams. But Webster University, I think, is actually thanks to Susan Polgar, who actually transferred from one of the Texas schools. I think her program was originally at UT Dallas. I could be wrong. But she was definitely in Texas with one of these schools and then moved the program to Webster. Maybe because they wanted to be closer to St. Louis. So maybe it did have a role with Sinkfield. But as why it started in Texas, I actually don't really know.
Right. But basically, a lot of the good chess schools are around the St. Louis area, which is where you also have all of the big chess tournaments in America, all in St. Louis. Like the American Championships that just happened a week or two ago with Grigoriy winning. And so, all these events are happening up there. So it's really fun. And that's actually where Joe is originally from.
Yeah, I'm born and raised in St. Louis, which is kind of a fun fact. Completely separate from chess at all. Because a lot of people hear that I'm from St. Louis and they're like, oh, that's why you play chess. And it's like, actually, I left St. Louis when I was 16, and that's when I started playing chess because I moved and I had like no friends and was really bored. So I was like, I should start playing something. So I picked up chess randomly and then found out about the St. Louis Chess Club. And I was like, wow, I can't believe that I left.
Well, that's okay. Now you're back and we're commentating on University of St. Louis games. So, you know what? It all worked out at the end, right?
Yeah, I still have visited St. Louis. I've been to the chess club. I think you guys showed like a picture during my interview a couple of weeks ago with like
Yes.
me and the giant chess piece. So yeah, always love visiting family and going back in town and seeing all the chess players. And the coolest thing, I think I went to see the Singfield Cup and I met Magnus for the first time. So that was really cool.
That's awesome.
Among like all the other top players like Wesley So, Awonder Liang, MVL.
Wow, just
I'm sure
more on us.
you've met a lot of them though, like in Toronto, right?
I think I've just like ran into them at Olympiads and stuff like loosely.
You played with them.
I haven't played, I think, again over the board against any of the top grandmasters, but I was in Dubai earlier this summer and they were playing in the I'm forgetting the name now, Global Chess League. The Global Chess League, I believe it was, and yeah, a lot of them were there for that tournament.
Was that the CGC?
No, this was something different. This was by a bunch of like Indian teams, or I had a lot of Indian sponsors. I should say,
Yeah.
a very international tournament. A lot of Indian sponsors played in Dubai. This is that one. I think it was the Global Chess League.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Dubai. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Ooh, are we gonna see Queen F2? Is Buckstrom gonna miss it?
We should probably not see Queen F2. I'd be slightly concerned if we see Queen F2. I do think that short castling here makes the most sense, right? Because you're just defending the pawn both ways.
Castles. Are you worried at all about a move like G4?
I'm not. I'm really not. I think
Wow.
I think if you play G4, you just play F3. And this looks crazy, but you take this knight. So black actually has to respond somehow. So if G takes F3, now you can just go Rook takes F3. And all of a sudden, it's actually black who has to defend their F7 pawn. So I always like to say that the best counterplay is always aggression, is always attacking. But it does look like instead of castling, Batsuren here played F3.
Wow, I was told one time that you should never play F3.
Right, and I think I tend to agree. However, in this specific case, I'm sure we're not too worried about this check. It's probably okay in this position to play F3. Especially, I don't think that White's going to castle long ever, so I think he's just going to castle short. I just wouldn't be too worried in this position if I was White. It doesn't feel like this pawn can push up just yet. Of course, I can say that, and they're just going to push up F5 and then try to push up G4, so you just never know, but...
Well, I mean, I've been cursing the players more today. I think I mentioned G4 earlier, but before White had played F3. But we do see castles, so opposite side castles. I think this is a pretty exciting game, and the players are already pretty low on time, actually.
Indeed, players are very low on time. It's definitely going. Yeah, they're going to this like middle game position with 45 seconds for black and a minute 40. Don't forget, they start with 5+2. So they started with 5 minutes and decided to use the majority of that time on the first 20 moves of this game, which just goes to show you this opening was probably unfamiliar for at least one of them. Probably both of them.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of players so far in the CCL playing some openings that they're maybe not familiar with. Like if you ever have to play against Awonder, it's very hard to prep. Although maybe now it's easier that people have seen his opening repertoire.
For sure. I mean, I don't know if it's easier to prep against Awonder because you've seen his opening repertoire. I feel like you just look at that and be like, well, I'm just going to play the best chess I can, and then Awonder ends up outplaying you anyway. So I don't know about that one, but I actually like this opening. I think this is an imbalanced opening, and Brodsky definitely feels like he is not confident in himself right now. He is spending so much time. He is down 1 minute. 1 minute!
Just any knight move. Wow, knight f4 with
Knight
tempo on
f4.
the queen. Picks that up. He's going to pick up the f pawn, like with tempo on everything. How would you trade rooks, or would you take on f4?
I would personally play c4. I think you want to kick this queen out, but I like this too. I think rook takes f4 is very simple, but I was actually a really big fan, sorry, not the bishop, obviously, playing c4 first and kicking this queen out. Just because I don't want to risk like anything like rook to g8. But it looks like black is much more concerned about defending this f7 pawn, which is fair. It just feels like black is dying a slow death here, you know?
For sure. c4 is still available in some lines. The queen moves anyways. Maybe we could pick up f7 now, or is the h pawn hanging?
It looks like the h pawn is hanging. I think rook takes f7 is fine though.
Yeah, because you're threatening the rook, but
Yeah.
why give up the h pawn?
Exactly. Just play it safe, right? Just play king to h1. Just keep it really safe.
Now that bishop's horrible on e8, just babysitting a pawn.
Essentially. That's very painful for black to play. Not a fun position. This is not a position I would sign up for.
No, especially with this amount of time left. So I see there's a check, which has been given. King moves. Trade of queens. Ooh, and there's the fork. Wow.
There is the fork.
That was clean from Batsurin.
Going to be an exchange down.
And more is going to follow here after that pin. So awesome in-game technique. Trading queens when the moment's right. Landing that bishop fork. Winning the material and winning the game.
Absolutely. Very, very well played. Very clean by Batsurin. But I believe we now have bird's eye view.
Yeah, we've got game 1. Looks like it's about to wrap up. This is Slew's board 4 coming in as a sub for Theodoru, playing against Dallas's top board, Ivan Shitko, who looks like there's in a little bit of a time scramble, but a completely winning position for Ivan.
Definitely.
We got another result.
Yeah, some final results coming in.
Oh, it looks like Bok, Slew's board 2 actually just went down to Dallas's. Is that Dallas's board 4? Is that a 1 versus 4 upset?
It does appear to be that way. Wow.
Oh my god, this match is already crazy.
This match is already crazy. Benjamin not having the best start over here. But there is still one last game between Rahul and Kevlishvili where black is definitely pushing for that win.
Wait, hold on. Before we see too many more results, Nevo, did I ask you what the prediction would be?
I think you did, but I was muted, so I might have just said it to the void.
Did the mute save you for your prediction?
The mute saved me because I when I saw it, I thought Nicolas was still going to be on the team because I saw like yeah,
okay,
but
that's fair.
I guess Nicolas
we can
is
let
not.
You predict.
Thank you. Nicolas is not on the team, so I would actually say I might favor UT Dallas.
Okay, so
yeah.
So what's your prediction?
Something really close. I would go for something like 9-7.
Okay, 9-7. So that was okay. So 9-7 in favor of Dallas. I'm gonna guess. What is it? 2-1 right now for Dallas. We got 1 game left. I think Dallas is also going to win. I'll go 10-6.
10-6.
Yeah.
Wait, you think 10-6 for Dallas?
I'm gonna. Well, you said 9-7 for Dallas, so I
I
feel like 10 to
did.
6.
Okay, well, 10 to
It's not
6 is
that.
a little bit more aggressive than my 9 to 7. So that means you really, really think that Dallas is.
I mean, Dallas, they're undefeated, Nemo. This is the number one. They're 5-0. They've got 4 GMs.
That's true. You know what?
You can't change. You
I
can't
can't
change.
change. It's true. I might be owing you 10 subs after this one. I mean, I think you might be right. I might have not realized because I can't see the board 4 for some reason on this screen here, but it definitely feels like having 4 grandmasters on your team is advantage, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, Slew obviously has 3, and it looks like Robbie's doing really well for the Slew team here. So it's going to be close. I think that. Oh, what is this? All right, resignation there. So Slew's going to tie this one up. It's going to be 2-2 after the first. It's going to be close. So 10-6 might not be good. Don't let my prediction make you feel yours might be the better one. Slew might upset all of us and
It's
still
true.
pull off the win
Yeah.
against 4 grandmasters.
Definitely. I think there's very good chances for obviously both teams. Like all jokes aside, both of these teams are really strong. It's currently 2-2. So we have some really exciting games coming in over here. Don't forget to make your own predictions, chat. We would love to see them.
Yeah. I think the big one that stands out to me for this round is Bok going down to board 4. That's actually a pretty big upset. Obviously, your board 4 is a GM, so it's not that big of a deal. But if you could fire on all 4 boards like that, I think Dallas is going to have success, and that's why I give them the edge.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I do think that, UT Dallas has a really strong team. They have their 4 grandmasters. I believe Sleuth's women's national master Sila is new, but please do correct me. I haven't seen her before, so we'll definitely be watching her as well and see how she does. But she has some pretty strong opponents this week.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of different board 4s for Slew, actually. We've seen Gabriela Antova play. We've seen Talia play, who's actually in the chat right now cheering on her teammates. So it's going to be exciting to see. Obviously, Sila missed that first game, but it's going to be tough, obviously, against board 1. But it's going to be tough all 4 rounds. So any points that she can get is going to be huge for this Slew team, especially for their chances to pull off an upset win here.
Absolutely. I definitely think that this is going to be one of those matches that might come down to those draws, might come down to those, are you able to hold that winning position? Are you able to hold that drawn position? But that doesn't, that doesn't apply to just Sila. It applies to everybody else on the team too. And that's what playing chess in a match format, in a team match format looks like. Some of the scores does rely on your teammates performing as well, but it should be a good time for everyone.
I want to tell a quick story about this Dallas team. So Dallas, their chess club is actually really active, and they're a large part of the scholarship team as well, which is actually, I feel like, a bit unusual for a lot of the scholarship teams that are kind of like separate from the school's chess club.
Mm-hmm.
So this Dallas team actually has a Twitch channel they stream on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So last year they were streaming their playoff run, and it was Dallas versus U Chicago. And we've watched a lot of Chicago matches so far, and Chicago obviously having won in season 3 is quite the team to beat. And Dallas, meanwhile, actually has never played never won the CCL championship. So Dallas last year, they were down, I think, 2 points in the final round of the match. They needed 2 must-win games, and they were losing in like one of them. But there was like a mouse slip or something crazy, and Chicago ended up losing. So Dallas forced overtime, and then they swept Chicago, and they had it all on stream, and their club was just going crazy.
That's crazy. I love that they are streaming it. And speaking of streams, actually, we just got the raid in from Chess24 over there. Thank you guys all joining us from the Grand Swiss. We appreciate it very much. I'm your host, Nemo, with Joe over here. We are spectating the Collegiate Chess League presented to you by SIG. And we have actually a very, very good matchup right now. So you guys came in at the perfect time. Joe just gave us a cute story about how excited these teams get over their wins, and these are some of the best college schools in the country. Where
in the world.
In the world, actually, right, in the world. The Collegiate Chess League is open to everybody in the world, and we have 4 grandmasters on the side of SLU, St. Louis University. You might be familiar with the name St. Louis. It is the place where a lot of the American chess tournaments are held, a lot of international tournaments are held, and they're facing off against the University of Texas at Dallas, who have a Twitch channel as well, if you want to go find it and, cheer them on. Personally, I don't know how many University of Texas at Dallas alumni we have here, but
there's a lot of famous chess players that have played at Dallas, as well as SLU. But SLU would have 4 grandmasters, but as those of you from the Chess 24 channel saw, he's actually playing in the FIDE Grand Swiss right now. So he's actually subbed out for SLU's board 4 Women International Master Sila Kaglar. So does anyone know how Theodoru's game went?
we would love to hear Theodoru's result, because Nicolas Theodoru is traditionally board 1 for St. Louis. And this week, Benjamin Bok has had to step in for him, taking over that board 1 spot. And he actually, unfortunately, lost his very first game. So we've already made our predictions on this match. Both of us are on the side of University of Texas at Dallas, mostly because Nicolas is not here. Because Nicolas is not here, they don't have that very powerful board 1. That 3200 board 1, might I add, 3200 on Chess.com Blitz. So, it's a pretty big change.
Yeah, it's like we mentioned last week. Bazoo was missing Oparin, so their board 4 had to sub in and didn't do too hot, and that's why they lost to Yale. I mean, all credit to Yale; they were definitely playing very well, but obviously having Oparin is a huge help. And similar for the SLU team, having Theodoru out because he's playing in the Grand Swiss might cost them this huge point, because Dallas right now is in the number 1 seed spot, 5-0. If they win this, they're 6-0 with only 1 match left in this regular season. The standings are huge for the playoff bracket coming up just in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be a really intense fight for the winner, because all of these schools have some of the best chess players, like best younger chess players, right? Like, you do have to be in college. Not saying that you can't be a PhD student playing the Collegiate Chess League, but I personally have not seen any PhD students. So anyways, they're younger in general. So these are some of the young talent we have. We all are familiar with Benjamin Bok. We're all familiar now with Checa. Even he's been playing since the start. So a lot of these people we are familiar with, and it's been really fun watching them week after week. But the league does have to end at some point. So next week is going to be the final one, and then we have playoffs.
Yeah, and a lot of these students are actually like in master's programs. I'm not sure if any of these are PhDs, but we definitely have a lot of PhD students in the league, and we've even had like law students, dental students. We've had MD PhD students.
That's so cool.
That can last quite some time. You actually might know. Do you know Julian Landau?
I do not know Julian Landau.
He's a doctor in his residency right now, actually at Harvard, and he was an MD PhD student at UCLA, so a close friend of mine. And he played in the CCL's first season.
You'll have to introduce me. That is one heck of a resume.
He used to stream a little bit more, but I think he's kind of a busy guy now.
Wow, that's insane. I mean, as I mentioned, is Bok young? I actually do not know Bok's age, but I would say if you're a grandmaster in your mid-20s, you're still young. I know we are so used to grandmasters being 12 years old these days, but hey, everybody is working on their own time, okay? Here, Anita, don't sweat it.
Yeah, imagine being mid-20s and being called old, I mean, Bok might be on the decline of his chess career now. He's so old now. Obviously, I'm joking, but...
Ouch. some really good questions actually coming in from the chat. As we probably do want to go to the bird's eye view, this game is quite slow, and I think we're going to be headed towards a draw here between two very strong grandmasters. They're really only 40 points apart. I would not be surprised if this game, sorry, 100. It's fine. Anyways, the 40 points apart. It's okay. So I do think that we have some very interesting games.
You know that like GIF of the woman doing like mental math?
Yes.
You know, like the numbers are like flying
That's
around.
literally me today. I cannot do mental math today. I just did not wake up on the right side of bed for math. I don't know why.
It's all good.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
We have all been there, but it's okay. It's worse because I was doing my my undergrad on math. So yeah, that makes it slightly worse, but it's totally fine. I have
look at this bishop on b7. What the heck is that doing? Sorry.
Okay, yeah, this is actually why I pulled it up. As we were making fun of my math, I wanted to make fun of Benjamin's bishop on b7. I actually should not make fun of it because it's doing really well there. It's attacking the a pawn and the c pawn. But we have to go back and see how it got there. How did it get there? I'm so confused.
Look at the pawns. I mean, I think probably black must have pushed a pawn to try to trap it.
Okay, we're gonna go back.
We're
gonna go back a few moves and just look at this middle game and see what happened because I do need to know why this bishop is on b7. Oh,
there we go. Yeah,
Rahul is just down a piece though. Okay, sorry.
Bok is down a lot of time.
Right,
he's completely winning.
Okay, so to be fair, Rahul has given up a piece. I'm not actually entirely sure why, but. Down a piece for Rahul. Bok only has 38 seconds, and at least Rahul has some checkmate threats. So, you know, there is compensation over here for black. And this bishop is on b7, which looks great, honestly, because now there's bishop takes e6. But black is trying these tricks, and I don't think you should take this. I mean, it's not bad.
Exchange stack.
It's not like anything is really going to happen. Wait, what's the plan after this? I'm actually not seeing it.
Also, is the rook on a1 just hanging? Are we watching two grandmasters play, Nemo? This we could do this on Guess the Elo, and like it could be. I'm not sure. I've never seen this many pieces hanging.
Well, the reason that he plays bishop e3, I think, is because if queen takes a1, you actually have queen takes c6, and then you route back to capture the rook. So I think. Rahul, whoa, sorry, Bok won by checkmate? Wait a minute. I was busy trying to figure out why this is like not a free rook, and Bok has just won by checkmate.
Someone submit this for Guess the Elo. I'm telling you, you're not going to guess two players over 2,700.
I am so confused. 22 players over 2,700. The bishop was on b7.
The queen takes the rook on a1 and queen d8 mate. I mean...
I'm not.
Did we just see that?
We just saw that. I mean, I'm very confused. I guess Rahul was just like, well, this game is over anyways. I'm down like, 2 rooks. So not actually 2 rooks, but he's about to lose this one. So I might as well do this and hope that Bok doesn't see mate and see if I can survive. I really don't know. This was a goofy game for sure. This was definitely a goofy game.
This is a game we could have seen in Division 20.
Wait, are there actually 20 divisions?
There's 23 divisions, which is a record, by the way.
Sorry, there's 23 divisions in the CCL?
Yes. The average rating for the team in Division 23 is less than 800. So
what?
CCL is definitely open to every player of any skill. So if you ever thought, I'm not good enough to play chess, think again, because you don't have to be any sort of rating requirement to play in the CCL. You just have to go to college.
That's amazing.
And play chess.
We love that. We really do. Okay, well, we do have bird's eye view here. So, Joe, I'll give you the opportunity to pick a game. Pick any game.
All right.
Except fourth game, because I can't do the fourth game. That I do not have access to.
Oh. Badge.
Yeah, sad. Sorry, we don't have access to Steeler versus Calgar. So you can pick any of the other 2.
Okay. Well, I wanted to look at Robbie's game, actually.
Okay, sounds good. When I said pick a game, any game, it was not actually pick a game, any game. I apologize.
I had been bambooed. Oh, we have result.
We have result. I mean, that's a fork. That's a pretty painful fork.
All right. Well, there's another game going on that we could look at,
Yes.
which is Batsurin's game, and they're in a quite time scramble, so that's going to be an interesting one.
Oh, well, I was going to say, I think that this position is winning for black, but the eval bar wasn't agreeing with me, and then the eval bar just decided to tank, so this position is definitely... I made the mistake of being an eval bar ending when it's very clear that this pawn is going to promote first. You come back, you stop this pawn from promoting, king goes here, you take this pawn with a check, and you make sure this pawn doesn't promote. Yeah, this is going to also be a win.
Nice. One pawn faster was Batsurin. And so Slu's getting some important points on the board. They actually did really well that round. And I think I'm a little nervous about our predictions.
Wait, we both predicted that UT Dallas would win, right?
They only got a draw in one game on board 4. So, yeah, the top 3 boards for Slu are doing damage.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, this is some pretty crazy stuff. It's great to see that Sila has actually gotten a draw against David Brodsky. So, you know, we have some these are the points that I mentioned to you that are really important. You got to be able to hold that draw. You got to be able to like win that one game. Like, you don't really have a lot of margin for error here. So, I definitely think that these have been some pretty crazy games. From both sides. And we just saw a bishop on b7. Sorry, a a white bishop on b7, fenced in by his opponent's pawn. So I think these have been some pretty crazy games, honestly. I love it.
I thought that bishop was bad, but then we just saw mate in 1 blundered from a free rook. So yeah, no, the matches have been very entertaining. We saw Gajic playing some brilliancies, and we're seeing some blunders here in the Dallas versus Slu match. So 2 rounds left to go. Lots of chess left to be played. Definitely anyone's match still.
Definitely anybody's match still. And I hope you guys have been enjoying all of the games. And don't forget, there is going to be 2 more rounds. So we are going to be going on a quick break over here, and we'll come back and more exciting chess to come.
We are live in Oslo, Norway. It's a beautiful day, a beautiful summer. You know the drill, we've done this before. Ma'am, do you mind if I ask you some questions real quick? When I say chess, what's the first word that comes to your mind?
Game. Puzzle.
Puzzle. That's brilliant.
Chess. Horse. Smart.
Black and white.
Black and white. That's 2 words, but I'm gonna let it pass. If I say chess, what's the first word that comes to your mind? I don't know if I have any other questions for you. Okay, when I say strategy, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Puzzle.
Puzzle, oh my God. Magnus Carlsen.
Chess.
The answer was puzzle, actually. That was the correct answer. That's okay, though. Okay.
Yeah, I love chess.
You do love chess.
Yeah.
Do you play chess?
Yeah, sometimes.
You play chess online?
Yeah.
Where do you play?
Chess.com,
You play on Chess.com, of course. Do you know who Magnus Carlsen is?
No.
Okay. Could you name any world chess champion?
We should not.
I knew you were going to say that. Obviously, you know who Magnus Carlsen is.
Sure.
Right?
He's a hero.
You know how good he is?
The best?
Yeah, he's the best, right?
Yeah.
Has Norway changed now that Magnus isn't the world champion?
Yeah, it's kind of a bit more sad. Why?
Yeah. Do you know that he's no longer the world chess champion?
I did not know that.
Yeah. So you didn't know why you felt sad, and now you know why.
Yeah, I guess he'll get back up
He'll
there.
get back. Do you know why?
No.
He left chess to become a footballer.
Actually.
Yeah, actually.
I think it's very different, chess and football.
Yeah. But he's an athlete, so he can pull it off.
It makes sense.
It makes sense, right?
I don't know who he is.
You don't know who Magnus Carlsen
No.
is? Okay. He's a professional footballer, one of the most well-known in Norway.
Okay.
Okay, so...
Sorry, I'm not from here.
Okay.
I heard there was a huge chess tournament thing where he accused another player of cheating.
That's true. Do you know anything about that scandal? Have we done our job, Oslo? Oslo, they are an educated chess city, a city of deep-thinking people, a city of beautiful people, a city where chess comes to life.
October October is here, and so are some familiar faces. Martin learned chess just to play with his kids, and occasionally the family dog. A workaholic, Philip hopes chess will help him relax before he works his fingers to the bone. Laura the librarian loves to learn and has recently developed a penchant for spell chess. An aspiring influencer and self-proclaimed meme queen, Isla can be a monster on the board when she puts her mind to it. Paul Morphy's undying genius lives on to this day through his immortal opera game. Just your average old bots, nothing else to see here. Play them all on Chess.com.
Welcome back to the Collegiate Chess League, presented to you by SIG. I'm with Joe here today, and we are very excited to be watching the next 2 rounds of this match. Joe, what are your thoughts so far?
Well, I'm thinking how surprising it is that Slew's still dominating even without Theodoru. So I think we both predicted a UT Dallas win, and it looks like the Dallas players are just not performing to their standards, and Slew is only 3 points away from getting this huge win.
That would be pretty crazy, considering that both of us predicted that UT Dallas would be winning at the start. I forgot your prediction, but mine was what, 9-7, and yours was 10-6.
Yeah.
It's looking unlikely. It's looking like Slew might actually be the 10-6. They might be winning. We might have had the correct score, but going the wrong direction, which I think is pretty crazy because, once again, Slew has, 3 Grandmasters, but UT Dallas has 4.
Yeah, and 4 Grandmasters is greater than 3 Grandmasters.
Great math right there. We love it.
Yeah. My math has been spot on today.
Amazing. I love hearing that 4 is greater than 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, here I think that, it's definitely looking pretty likely that Slew is definitely the favorites to win right now. However, it's not certain yet. Nothing's set in stone. This is chess. Don't forget, we see upsets all the time.
I have faith in this Dallas team. They had a rough start, but we had a little break, and now we're into the second half. Dallas is undefeated so far, and I think that they can get back in the right track in the second half.
Definitely. I think this is also a very interesting Spanish. I have never seen this before. I don't love it. You know how there's a don't ever play F3 thing? I think the F6 is kind of a suspicious move. I don't love it. It really leaves this light square diagonal very open. But of course, the king's just going to hide on H8. I just think this is one very weird Spanish. Haven't seen it that often.
Yeah, and I like this knight reroute from Robbie. He's just going to bring the knight to G3. He's going to target G7, putting the knight on either H5 or F5.
Correct.
Lots of potential here for White's pieces.
Absolutely. Feels like a very easy position to play for White. I don't think that there's anything to worry here, but it is a Spanish, so it is going to be slow. But let's take a quick bird's eye view and hop into some of the other positions we do have going on here. I'm personally pretty excited to see Slew's board 1. So Benjamin. I think Benjamin is very, very much Well, I don't know if I don't know how he feels. He might feel a little shaky, but he did lose his first game. So he might be
Yeah.
out looking for revenge.
Bok did lose in round 1, but he's back on track in round 2. He did get the dub. And now in round 3, he's playing against Brodsky. Obviously, Bok is a big streamer. And we actually hung out with Bok a little bit at TwitchCon. And he played from TwitchCon. Even though he was in Vegas, he's still committed to the team. And unfortunately, they didn't get the job done. So maybe he's going to try to get their team back on track today.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely, has had a relatively good performance in the Collegiate Chess League thus far, and he won his previous game, but he still needs to perform for the next 2 rounds, this one included, to give his team the win.
And we got a couple of Bok fans in chat. Obviously, Bok being a big streamer. Any Bok maybe hype fans or
perhaps
Bok hype
a little
fans?
too hype. Look, we don't need to diss the rest of the team. We get it. We understand.
Well, they're doing well today so far, without Theodorus still. But obviously, I think Slew, if they could win without Theodoru, I would be very scared to play them in the playoffs when presumably they'll have all 4 top players playing.
Presumably, as long as there's not some crazy, Grand Swiss going on or like a candidate's going on that Nicolas might be qualified for. You never know. There's always that chance. But yes, I think we'll be safe seeing Nicolas come back for the playoffs, which Slew is basically guaranteed to make.
I'm honestly kind of shocked that FIDE would plan their Grand Swiss during the CCL season. Like, I'm surprised that they're able to do that when players like Theodoru are playing in both. So I'm a little surprised. Maybe Theodoru forgot that his team was playing, or maybe he just had confidence that his team didn't need him to win.
I think, with these type of league events, it's always hard to have your entire lineup there every single week, which is why a lot of these chess schools have multiple grandmasters, and their lineup goes so far down that their second team might even be no, I don't think any school actually has a second team full of grandmasters, but a lot of these schools do have very, very strong backup players for their first teams.
Well, UTRGV's second team won Division 2 last year, but they didn't register this year. They want to make sure that all their second team players would be substitutes for their A team. So, like you mentioned, these teams are very deep and they have a lot of talent to go around. They could definitely have some D1 teams as their B teams. So that is kind of interesting. But the league rules actually prevent a school from having multiple teams in the same division.
That makes sense. I mean, you never know. There might be some conspiracies going on if there were 2 schools. So I think that's very fair coming from the commissioner. But this position also quite slow. Benjamin does have the pair of bishops, which is nice. But this knight is currently parked on e4, and you never really... Sorry, that's an awful arrow. You never really want to play bishop takes e4 because the light squares become really weak around your king. So this knight will be there for probably the foreseeable future as Benjamin slowly remaneuvers his pieces. But let's take another quick look at bird's eye view and see if any of the games might have something a little bit more decisive over here. It does look like
Raul's crushing it on his game against Sila, so maybe this could be the comeback that Dallas needs.
Indeed. That is going to be a very important win for UT Dallas. Definitely, like I said earlier, every single point matters. If you have a winning game, you got to win that game. You got to get your team that point.
Yeah, and I mean, Sila did a great job. She got a draw in that last round, but maybe she'll get some more draws in the last 2 games, or even an upset win, actually. We've seen a lot of upsets so far. But there's obviously other games to look at. Is there anything else that catches your attention?
I feel like we can hop On to Ivan versus Robbie. Definitely.
Robbie's another kind of fan favorite from SLU. I think all the SLU players people know about and root for. It's pretty easy to root for a lot of them, especially when they stream like Bok. I don't know if the other SLU players have streamed before, but maybe SLU should make like a Twitch channel for their whole team.
They really should, or they can just go with the St. Louis channel. I mean, it definitely feels like they have enough players to keep it running like 24/7, basically. They can just all take turns, but it'd be really fun. However, here I think Robbie is actually doing really well. He has the pair of bishops. We've seen a lot of pair of bishops today, actually. It looks like people are using their chess fundamentals. One of the key rules that I want everybody here to remember after this broadcast is that pair of bishops are better than pair knights in open positions. So we would classify this as sort of semi-open. It's not fully open, but it does mean that white probably has some slight advantage. The other thing that I think is really important to note is that queens and knights actually go together really well in the endgame. But in this specific case, the bishops can be very, very oppressive. It feels like the knights have to be pushed back. The pawns are coming up. I think white just has so much space and so much to play for with the bishops that it's very hard for black to make a move in this position.
Yeah, I love this. F4, kicking the knight back, queen to F4, threatening the C pawn, forcing the knight back again, defending on D8. Those are not happy knights.
No, these knights are very sad. Anita, sometimes you have to give up your horses because pair of bishops, once again, they just sort of push you, you know? They control so many more squares than knights do. So when they are in the center of the board and when they are being used correctly, of course, Robbie is a grandmaster, so we would expect him to use his pair of bishops correctly. They can control a lot of the position. Here, you might even see something like G5. There's a lot of ideas here for white. G5 looking really scary. This bishop is on the perfect diagonal to open up this A1 to H8 diagonal. So pretty scary here, being black.
Yeah, I've been playing queen E7. It looks like he's giving up defense over that C6 pawn. But if white took, that would open up the E file. Queen E3 would have been a fork on the king and the bishop. So that's why we see the move king F2, making sure that the king takes some of those E file squares away from black's queen.
Indeed. So G5.
We see that G5 move that you pointed out. And now after black defends the C pawn, the bishop gets into D5.
The F.
Where's the knockout?
Here I would say the knockout would be bishop to A5. I think after bishop A5, there's knight takes D5. But if you take with the queen, how is black going to move in this position? Like, where are you able to go? You can play knight to B7, the queen comes in. This king is actually protecting all of these entry points against black's queen. I mean, king to F2 was actually a secretly genius move. He's not letting black's queen get in at all. And with the way that this game is currently going, just feels like this is the perfect showcase of why pair bishops can be extremely strong at times. And why chess coaches tend to always like the pair bishops. Because even though knight and queen technically a better combo, the bishops are controlling every single diagonal. There's nowhere for this knight on D8 to go. Black is too scared to play knight takes D5, and now white is opening up this diagonal.
Yeah, trading on F6, and now the queen's offering a trade. This is just a really good technique from Robbie, and his opponent's on the verge of collapsing and flagging.
Queen takes D7 would be an excellent move here with bishop takes F6, and then you have all of these dark pawns to slowly chop up as the king will just come in. Very, very well played endgame.
I've heard of tall bishops, but in this game, look at that knight on B7. It's kind of like a tall knight.
Exactly, it's a tall knight. I don't actually know what the term for a bad knight is. It's just a bad knight. Like, you mean tall pawn, right? Not tall pawn. A bishop, a bad bishop is a tall pawn.
True.
There we go. Okay. I guess a bad queen could be like a tall bishop. Because it's...
Well...
Anyways.
That pawn chain, like you pointed out, just completely collapsed. The knight is free, but at the price of the pawns, and that's going to be all she wrote.
Yep. Very well played game by Robbie. That was actually a very spectacular endgame. I know we've seen a lot of very good tactical games today, but it also goes to show that in order to become a grandmaster, you also need all the skills. Outside of just finding the tactics, you also have to be able to play positionally. You have to be able to play end games. You have to understand the synergy between your pieces. Just some really nice chess, honestly. I've been not necessarily surprised. I think surprised is the wrong term here, but just I've been enjoying the games a lot.
I want to go back to this Bok game real quick. They're both in this crazy time scramble.
Yeah.
The moves are coming in instantaneously here. They're both less than 10 seconds.
C6 pawn, going to drop or not. Instead, Brodsky just allows Benjamin to create paired pass pawns. Well, they're not quite connected just yet because this pawn's a little far behind, but theoretically, these pass pawns are really good.
That pawn just made it to b7. Bok is definitely pushing. The computer maybe didn't like the play so well, but I don't see how Brodsky's going to defend this. Look at those pawns coming down.
Oh, I think
wow,
he just made a big mistake. Yeah.
Yep, and there goes the other pawn. We're going to see resignation.
Very well played game by Bok.
Well, it looks like this SLU team has, like, I think they just clinched, honestly.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Raul won for Dallas, and we still have one more game left in this round, and it looks like it's good for Dallas as well. But Surin is in a bit of a pickle.
Batsurin very much in a pickle. His king is on d7. You can't really play rook a8 because you'll get checkmated here. So at least, you know, Batsurin has that going for him. But rook versus bishop in this type of endgame is usually a pretty clear-cut win for the rook. There's not much that black has going for him other than the fact that he's going to get this pawn back. But then you drop the f pawn and then you drop the h pawn. He does have this passed pawn, though. There is a slight chance. However, white is going to be bringing his king out. Don't forget, in an endgame, your king is basically as useful as a rook.
Yeah. Well, rook made it to the d-file. That's going to put a stop to any further d-pawn pushes.
Absolutely. Do not make the mistake of playing rook takes e6, though. This pawn is going to come down and promote. So as long as white doesn't do that and just make sure this pawn can't push to d3 because he's being captured, he has all the time in the world to create another pass pawn. And you can literally see all black can do here is shuffle. He's just shuffling. And then this pawn goes down, and then the rook comes back, defends against this, and then this pawn's going to promote.
Nicely put. So even though black queens, this bishop is just not going to be able to stop the h-pawn.
There's a pawn in between this bishop, and the square needs to protect.
So Dallas is still alive. They're holding on, barely. Are we going to see a huge comeback in round 4?
I definitely think we could. And I'm saying that because we're going to see all of the respective boards play against each other. So now it's really going to be the question of, can SLU's board 1, counter Dallas's board 1? And that's going to be the question that Bok needs to answer. He is playing board 1 for SLU today. I actually had the pleasure of playing him at TwitchCon. So those were some fun games as well.
How'd those go?
Well, you were my camera person there. It did not go very well. Surprisingly, grandmasters are good at chess.
Oh, is that surprising to you?
Yeah, sometimes. No, I'm fully joking. It felt like Benjamin was very much in good form, and I was playing very, very fast. He actually gave me 3-1 time odds, and one of the games was actually really close. I might put that out on YouTube at some point, but other than that, it was tough. It was really tough. He plays very well.
Well, we see Bok is doing well. He's 2 out of 3, and maybe he owes you because you warmed him up in Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. I warmed it up for sure. It's been a full week.
You do see. Sorry, Robbie is perfect though, 3 for 3, and then round 4, he's gonna look to see if he can finish the sweep of this Dallas team.
Do you think they can?
Oh, for sure. I think that
Okay.
Robbie, if obviously he's 3 for 3, so he's got one more to go. And I think that maybe Slew doesn't care if he gets the sweep or not. They just want that last point. They're only 1 point away. So
Mhm.
it's Dallas that's going to need to sweep the Slew team in round 4 if they're to win this match.
Yeah. Dallas definitely in a tough position right now. Coming in, I definitely thought they were favorites, but it's currently look like, you know, Slew has been performing extremely well. So
Yeah, these Slew players are just on a different level. They're in the same league, but they're looking like they're just unstoppable.
absolutely. We have the opening coming in between Ivan and Benjamin. Over here, just very, very standard Sicilian. This is actually called the Kramnik variation. I'm sure we're all fairly familiar with Grandmaster Kramnik, one of the OGs, I would say. He's definitely like one of those grandmasters I would watch consistently growing up. He's been a little bit more out of the public chess eye in recent years, but he's very, very well known.
So I see Bok's camera. Looks like he's got his green screen working, or do you think he's just playing from a void?
I think he's got his green screen working, but I would not be surprised if he's playing from the void either. Sounds like a very Benjamin Bok thing to do.
We've seen some questionable lighting choices so far. And Bok, I just know he's played with the green screen just being green before.
Yeah, this is like the opposite of, who was the guy
Duden.
on Yeah, exactly. With him, we thought he was in a cave. With Benjamin, Benjamin's like the full focus.
Well, Benjamin's also a streamer, so I know he knows a thing or two about lighting.
Yeah, it's true. He definitely does. But well, regardless of his green screen, he does need to hold this game. I think holding this game against Ivan is good enough. They only need 1 point. So as long as teammates don't completely throw this match, they're probably winning this.
I don't think any of the Slew players are thinking about holding. I think they're
agree.
all looking to just crush and continue to win.
Yes, I 100% agree. But he is spending a lot of time in this opening. He's currently down a whole minute compared to Ivan, and is probably just trying to figure out how the best way to defend his D pawn would be, because, well, rook to D3 is a very simple idea, and then Benjamin's going to be forced to play rook to D8. So we'll see where all of this leads, honestly. I'm not exactly sure, but
After rook d8, can white play for c5, or does that allow for d5?
it definitely allows c5 here. D5 actually just loses the pawn straight away. There's just more pieces defending that. But the interesting line here would actually be, I'll show this really quick. This is just a free pawn. But instead of that, there's actually bishop to a6. And then you want to play c takes d6 first, because if you actually move your rook here, there is first bishop takes e2. And then all of a sudden, you don't have this pin anymore. So the pawn just takes and you lose a pawn. So it's not that clear, which is probably why Ivan actually decided to not go for c5 and instead just chooses to put more pressure on the d pawn. But I do have to say, this is one of those positions where black has a very clear-cut idea. They just want to play d5 at some point. That's all black wants to play. And all white wants to do is not let black play that and keep putting pressure on d6. So this game, the strategy as far as this game goes, is actually fairly simple.
Yeah, it's interesting. Usually in chess, it's like you just go for checkmate, but in this game, it's like, no, we're just trying to fight over the square in the center, right? And then good things will follow.
Exactly. This whole game is going to revolve around the d5 square. Black just wants to play d5. He currently does not have the firepower to do it, but that is all black wants to do. And white's game is not that difficult to play, I would say. Your plan is to just keep black from being able to play that. This is not a free pawn, by the way, guys. Rook takes, queen takes. You just can't do that. You gotta go all the way around to make that happen. So,
All right, we see a queen trade. So who does this favor?
I would say this queen trade favors black. When your opponent has weaker pawns, this is a very commonly known rule for isolated pawns, and it applies sort of here to this weaker pawn. You want to keep major pieces and swap off minor pieces, because minor pieces actually have an easier time of defending weak pawns. With major pieces, you kind of have to be behind them, and then there's always pawn pushes like c5. So in this case, I would say that the queen trade actually super favors Benjamin, and you can see that once again, he's going to be pushing for d5. But these are the kind of things that you would learn if you ever read Pawn Structures by Ivan Sokolov. This is one of the only chess books I have actually ever read in my life, and it was extremely educational on pawn structures. So if anybody ever wants to learn about the soul of chess, which is pawns, you can read that book. I actually have a green pawn here from Chess.com.
Wow, wait.
You.
I have so many green pawns. I don't have them near me.
I have 2 of them on my table. Souls of chess.
2 pawn. I mean,
yeah.
You've got the 2 pawn advantage over me.
I do. I have the 2 pawn advantage over you.
I'm slacking. My pawn game is slacking.
For sure.
I gotta up my pawn. All right. Well, yeah, it's interesting you're saying the queen trade favors Bok because obviously Ivan didn't have to go for that, and now he's queenless. He's got his knight on a4. I'm not sure what it's doing, or if it's just gonna go back to c3. So that was a questionable mid-game decision. But Bok is still in the think tank, and obviously it's Ivan's turn, but he does have an advantage in time, at least.
Yeah, I think Ivan's advantage in time does go a little bit here because, once again, Black's plan hasn't actually changed. Black is still trying to play d5. This is the exact same plan we have been seeing for the last 10 moves. And it's just where this game is going to be at. If, Ivan stops Black from playing d5, he's going to be forever more comfortable. But if Benjamin is able to create some sort of play or, get Ivan to let him play d5, it might swing in the other direction. So you just never know. But right now, d5 definitely cannot be played. I don't want to say definitely, but with e takes d5, c takes d5, knight to c5, this can become really messy really quickly. And I don't think this is what Benjamin is looking for. So he's probably going to take his sweet time.
Yeah, with the knight on a4, even though it's on the edge, knight to c5 is pretty annoying. And so that d pawn is doing a good job right now keeping it out.
Yeah, this d pawn actually serves a purpose. And you can see that Benjamin is still defending this d pawn and trying to move the rook away. This is a very standard Grandmaster game. I know we've seen a lot of really exciting games, and part of the reason for that is because we're playing 5+2. With 5+2 time controls, things get messy really quickly. Somebody makes one little slip in the opening or the middle game, and all of a sudden there's tactics, there's sacrifices. But this game is more reminiscent of something you would see if they were playing 90 minutes plus 30 seconds.
Oh my god, Nemo, I just realized something.
What?
If we take a quick look at the bird's eye view,
yeah,
it looks like Brodsky is winning, Batsurin is losing, and if Dagapati can beat Sila, and this game holds a draw, we could see our first ever overtime.
Wow. Wait, that would be absolutely crazy. I haven't seen an overtime yet. Do you mind reminding us of the tie breaks format?
So if Dallas can win this round 3.5 to 1/2, the 2 teams will be tied at 8 and 8, which brings us to round 5, which is basically the same matchup that we're seeing now, but the players switch colors, and instead of playing 5+2, they play 3+2.
Even faster.
Exactly.
That'll be fun.
That's what I'm rooting for right now.
I am all for it. I love these type of matches. I think it could be really, really close. And before going into this round, we were both not convinced that it was going to be close. And we actually, we can pull up Robbie versus David over here. Robbie is in a world of pain in this endgame because David not only has a connected pass pawn, he has 3 connected pass pawns.
But he also is very low on time, and we've seen how that impacts the players before.
Yeah, for sure. Being low on time, definitely not an advantage in these type of positions. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit tough for Robbie to find play in this position, but with 15 seconds left on the clock, you just never know. Brodsky can totally make a mistake. I mean, there's all these checkmate ideas, right? Playing king c1 simply to avoid any possibility at all of rook to d1. I think Robbie's going to have to get really creative here to find something to salvage this position, which in this case, his team actually needs. And you were scoffing at me earlier for saying that Slew, like I was saying Slew just needs to hold a point. You were saying Slew's going to go for the win. Look who's going for the win now.
Exactly. I mean, you said it. They just need to get a couple of draws together. But obviously, if they're going to get all these losses, in fact, board 4 is already in Dallas's favor. So there's 3 games left in the match. 2 of them are looking great for Dallas. And that top board, Bok versus Ivan, is actually going to be huge. If Bok can hold that for a draw, that's what they're going to need for overtime. But if he loses, that could cost him the whole match.
For sure. And let's actually go take another look at bird's eye view, because unfortunately, I think Robbie might not be able to hold this endgame. So we'll see if Benjamin actually has a chance of holding his endgame. We've been watching this game very closely. Wait, sorry, what?
Oh, Bok is getting crushed now.
Wait, how did White just promote? We missed like 2 minutes, and all of a sudden there has been promotion on the board, and now White is simply up a rook, and Benjamin has actually resigned.
We might not even see overtime, Nemo. We could see a sweep.
We could see a sweep. Okay, I'm calling for another bird's eye view. I would love to go back and see what happened and how Benjamin lost the steep pawn and everything. But Surin has just lost his game, so now everything is resting on David to not lose this game.
Oh, David's winning. It's on Robbie. Robbie needs a draw to force overtime. If he gets an upset win, he can force the win for Slew, but it doesn't look good.
It does not look good.
Brodsky only has 4 seconds.
Oh my god, this is actually so crazy. Wait, Joe, you super cursed Slew.
The super
no, but like you
curse.
super cursed. I was literally the one that said Slew just needs to hold a point, and you were like, no, Slew's gonna play for the win, and look what happened. Who's playing for the win now?
Well, he could flag David. David's less than 5 seconds. Oh my god.
Wait, if you move the no, it's not even checkmate, because then it actually opens up this square. Oh my god.
So nerve-wracking.
It is so nerve-wracking.
Rook a2 would be mate if not for the knight. If there was like a bishop pinning that knight, that'd be a beautiful mate.
That's some wishful thinking. Maybe right now David can just like, grab that bishop, place it there, and hope that Robbie doesn't notice. But I mean, it's not over until it's over. So
it's not Jover.
It's not Jover. It's not Jover. With 5 seconds on the clock, there's definitely a chance.
I want to see Robbie flag him.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance. But I mean, this is just gonna promote.
He's gonna promote though.
That
maybe there's like a stalemate or like I don't know. It's just there's gonna be a queen on the board. That's good. That's a check. King moves. Another check.
I think
repetition is a draw.
Oh my god,
repeat.
no,
oh
knight
my god.
c4. Knight c4.
What just happened?
Oh, he's losing the pawn.
Wow. Robbie's gonna clutch it for Slew. No way.
Wait, Robbie is actually gonna clutch it for Slew. He's taking the draw.
Is.
There is the draw by repetition. Oh,
We're
David.
See overtime.
Oh my gosh. David looks so devastated. He grabs his head. He looks so devastated. And Robbie there, breathing a sigh of relief. This is one of the amazing times when we have player cams.
My goodness.
That is that's a very painful draw. I mean, it's hard to, it's very rare that I say draws are painful, but in this case, after king to a3 was simply the mistake. And then if you go king to b3, there's a fighting chance there. Just don't take the draw. But that was very unfortunate. So we have 8 versus 8. on the scorecard.
Wow. And we're going to see our first ever overtime match on broadcast. This is for Dallas to keep their undefeated streak alive. They're trying to go for 6-0. Slew is trying to give Dallas their first loss of the season. And we just saw Dallas play a 3.5 to a half round, which is huge. But the question is, can they get the job done in the 5th round, or is Slew going to take this chance to get the win? I'm speechless right now, Nemo.
This is pretty crazy. I hope you guys have been enjoying these matches as much as your commentators have, because I think some of the games we have seen today have been extremely insightful and also just extremely crazy. So we have the tiebreak rules over here. You just play the round 4 matchups with the colors swapped, and it is a single round of 3-2. Am I correct?
Yes, if it's tied 2-2, which makes the match 10-10, then they'll repeat again, but with 1+2 time control, and they'll repeat that time control until a winner is decided. But I have a very strong feeling we're only going to see 1 round of overtime.
I would agree with you. Who do you think is going to win?
Well, obviously, we just saw Dallas win round 4, and it's the same matchup, but I also think that Dallas missed their opportunity with Robbie getting that huge clutch draw to force OT. I think Slew's going to make them pay and get the job done.
I honestly would agree with you. However, Dallas looked so incredibly strong in this last matchup, but David is going to be playing as Robbie with the black pieces now, and you know, he hasn't looked the most solid so far. So I think I would also very, very slightly prefer Slew, but it's going to be really close. We see Benjamin actually, he's going to be kicking it off with the white pieces. I think that's also really important, having your board 1 play white, being able to push for that win. Playing with the black pieces always feels more like you're on the defense and you're just trying to draw the game, in which case last game actually Benjamin was not able to do so. So now with the white pieces, he's going to play for that win. But it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I think the color change definitely is favorable here for Bok with the white pieces, but also I think the time is also going to be in favor for Slew. I think maybe they're more familiar with the faster time control. Obviously, it's still blitz, but with less time on the clock, I think Slew is going to be more comfortable now after that round 4. I think that round 4 maybe they've got their bad games out of the way, and now they're in the right mindset to get the job done here with the win.
Yeah, it almost felt like they might have relaxed a little bit on their round 4, where they were up so many points. They were up 3 points. So I think that probably played a part, and we're going to be seeing this round 5 with 3+2 time control. This is just your regular game of blitz. You could click 3+2 in the pool and you would find an opponent instantly. So now we're seeing this time control played in one of the top levels of collegiate chess.
This is so crazy, Nemo. Like, it feels like a playoff game, right? This is just week 6 of the regular season, and it feels like the whole season's on the line for these teams. And it very well could end up being a playoff match later.
Absolutely. I mean, it definitely feels like a playoff match right now. I think it's been extremely fun watching these players play, and we are definitely going to see both of them again. They're both likely to make it into the playoff stages, but I don't even know if there's an underdog for this exact match at this current moment. Slew might be very slightly the underdog, but that sounds so crazy to say considering their board 1 Benjamin is 2969 and their board 2 is 3019. Those are some insane ratings. I think on average rating, Slew might be just slightly lower because their board 4 is a Women in National Master, still really good, obviously, but nonetheless, not a Grandmaster, and everybody else in this match is a Grandmaster, so it's hard to say.
And Bok is playing with confidence right now. He's playing quickly. Ivan thought a lot on this move. He decided to give up and trade the G-pawns for this rook activity. The queen from Bok is going to have to find a new home. Decides to land on f4. I was also thinking maybe h4 was a bit better and leave the f4 square for the knights. but
Mm-hmm.
Bok maybe sees something else.
Yeah. Definitely interesting time management coming in from Ivan over here with 1 minute 20 on his clock. Bok probably deciding where he wants to castle or if he wants to castle at all because right, there we have it. We have the castle long. I like this position for white a lot. I also really like his time. He has 2 minutes. Like I said, Benjamin
Yeah.
is crazy fast. I played him at TwitchCon last week, and yeah, he is fast. He's a speedy boy. So I would not want to
Anyways,
play this position
fast.
as Ivan.
Is that a free pawn on e4?
It is almost a free pawn on e4. There is also this pawn hanging on a2.
True. If the knight moves, a2 is hanging.
Yes.
And there's no b3 trap because we don't have a c pawn anymore.
Yeah, no c pawn. You definitely don't want to be losing this pawn. Probably king to b1. Very logical move. Queen a5 also looks really good. There we go. We have queen e5. Queen e5 with the idea of maybe queen a5. Or just keeping this queen somewhere, like, it just looks good on e5, you know?
I think the knight wants to go to f4 now.
Yeah. There's that idea as well. So black has to be a little careful about where to place the rook. But let's take a quick look at bird's eye view.
Yeah, obviously that's the top board. We're going to have to come back and watch that. But we have 3 other games underway. I think that Dallas is obviously favored on board 4. That's their biggest mismatch with their Grandmaster versus Sila. But we also still want to keep an eye out on this Robbie David game. That was a huge draw from Robbie. And now with the white pieces, he might be able to make David pay and make him remember that choke for the rest of his life.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that David is probably still feeling it from last game. He looked absolutely devastated. But of course, he is a grandmaster and he's a professional. So he knows how to handle his, misplays best. But I would say this position is not very comfortable for David. He unfortunately has this knight on d8. But to be fair, it is an endgame. So as long as David holds together his position and gets his team that draw here, a lot can still happen for him and his team.
Yeah, so queen to a6, attacking the b pawn. Black just dives in with the center, taking a pawn with check. That knight's still really bad. There's no moves for it. How do we get that thing into the game?
I don't know, but with 30 seconds on the clock, I don't think David knows either.
Ugh, he wishes he had 30 seconds. He's down to 15.
Yeah, sorry. 15 seconds on the clock. I don't think this is a very comfortable position, but I actually don't like queen takes e2. I think knight to d4 was more interesting because then when the queen takes, you would have had your knight on b5. So now actually, you have to figure out how to defend your b pawn, and the most logical move is probably rook to b1. But if you play rook to b1, now the knight comes out. So do you want to play b4 to stop this? I'm not really sure.
Oh, he's going for the activity. He's trying to pin the knight to the king.
Yeah. I think king f8 makes the most sense here. You just want that is not a good move because like I had mentioned, b4 now traps the knight fully.
Wow. So the rook has to come back. And now black is going ultra passive. So good decision by David to try to trade queens because you're in time scramble. Getting the queens off helps a lot. But Robbie's definitely making the most of this, trading, and look at all these pawns.
These pawns are going to roll. I mean, you have connected pass pawns again, and for once, double pawns are actually not bad because you can use your back pawn to actually defend one of your pawns. Now c4 is... Oh, I'm actually a little... sure, okay. I mean, this works too. You're just trying to clear out space for your pawn to promote.
This is over.
This is very over. Or like, as
And
they like to
soon
say it,
it might
it's
be
Jover. It's Jover.
Oh my god, this slew team, Nemo.
The slew team pulling it off.
Wow. I mean, they had the lead. They kind of threw us for a loop in round 4, but they're getting the job done here in round 5.
It's not all that clear just yet because Sila has unfortunately lost her game against Dagupati. I'm so sorry to everybody who I might have offended with my pronunciation of that name. But we do have Benjamin Bok winning against Ivan. on board 1, and I believe a lot of this is going to actually come down to
Batsurin's
Oparin.
winning too.
Yeah, well, shall we take a
So-
look at Batsurin's game really quick? We haven't yet seen his.
Yeah, we can take a quick gander. I think Bok's game's about to finish too, but let's see if Batsurin's going to close out. He is less than 5 seconds.
5 seconds, very hard to play. It's actually not that clear. Wait, you were saying that Batsurin's winning?
Well, according to the eval, but it's swinging back, so it's kind of close. I think anything can still happen.
I mean, I think more than anything that can happen is that this position is crazy with 4 seconds to 20 seconds. Black is actively threatening checkmate ideas. So knight to e3 looks very ambitious. Oh, but now white is the one threatening checkmate. It's not so clear, and Batsurin only having 3 seconds on the clock. If Batsurin loses this game, we're going to get...
We might see double OT.
We'll see double OT, and they're going to go to 1+2, which basically feels like a coin flip. But we're actually going to... there's mate in 4.
Oh my gosh.
No, he missed
but
mate
it
in
was
4.
missed. What was it? Rook
It was
H2?
rook h2, because then you can swing the queen around.
Wow.
Because then you have this check on c4, or c5, sorry.
Oh my god. And now,
Wait.
how do you win? Is there queen g6?
Wait, can we go to the big board, please?
Oh, that's it.
That is it.
Raul gets a huge win for Dallas, and Bok wins for Slew. Oh my gosh.
Bok winning for Slew. Oh,
We're going to
wow.
see double OT.
We have never seen double OT before. We didn't even need the big angle because this was so intense. We have 10 to 10.
Oh my goodness. This is the closest match in Division 1 this entire season, and we're witnessing it live.
Wow. I mean, this is some pretty intense stuff. I'm not even really sure how to feel about it, because on one hand, we're getting some very, very exciting chess, but on the other hand, I feel like UT Dallas could have finished this off like 40 minutes ago. David could have just won his game, and then we would be out. But no, David lost his game, and now it's looking. All of this started because David lost his game. Sorry, I had to say it. Actually, he didn't
really
lose.
throwing David under the bus.
He didn't even lose. Sorry, my bad, David. He drew his game, and this all happened. So, it is not over. It is going to be 1+2. It's not over. So, guys, I want predictions. Do we have predictions? Can we get some predictions in this chat? Both of our chats, they're going to play 1+2, which in my opinion is such a degen time control, because what is 1+2?
It's bullet with increment.
Bullet with increment, yes. So for fun fact, 2+1 on Chess.com is the cutoff for bullet. Anything slower than that is blitz. So I'm not even sure if 1+2 is bullet. Is it bullet?
You mean, well, I still think Slew is favored here. But Dallas, maybe they can try to prove us wrong.
Yeah, maybe Dallas can help prove us wrong. 1+2 is bullet, confirmed by Chess.com chat. It's bullet with some extra time. So I think this is going to be Benjamin's specialty. He is very, very fast, and we've seen him play everything from like bullet brawl to, but we do have games. So we'll jump into Benjamin's first, because he is playing the Grunfeld, a very good choice for a bullet game. If you're not familiar with the Grunfeld, it can be tough.
Oh my god, the moves are flying. It's going to be impossible to see everything happening all at once. I think we're just going to have to try to find a match and stick with it.
For sure. It's going to be very, very intense. We're currently still in bird's eye view, so we are seeing all of the games. You can see all those eval bars go up or down. But with 2 seconds on the clock, you actually have like a little bit of time, because you're making a lot of moves very fast, so it can add up. We do see Ivan here actually with more than 1 minute.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, because obviously we saw in the first round 4. Dallas won that round, even though it led to the OT. They were they were trailing. So that was big for them. And now the colors are back to that original pairing with the top 2 boards getting white for Dallas. So this is going to be actually pretty significant. Dallas maybe trying to use this as their opportunity to get the job finally done.
Indeed. I think this is one of those positions where it's tough. Yeah, it's like a tough situation to be in. I feel like losing double overtime would be the worst feeling in the world.
Well, I mean, they're lucky to be an OT after that. And also remember, like, this isn't even Slew's best lineup. Like, if this is Dallas's best lineup with their 4 GMs, they got to be pretty nervous to see what's to come once Slew's in playoff form, firing on all pistons.
Yeah, indeed. Queen takes A2 coming in.
Is this your favorite format so far, Bullet? Would you love to just watch Bullet chess?
I actually don't like 1+2.
Okay, it's the increment.
It's the increment. I'm very, very picky about my Bullet formats. I practiced a lot of 1+1 against Bortnick for my Speechless Championships tournament, and 1+1 is just like, it feels so weird. So I assume 1+2 also feels so weird because you can't quite flag someone. So you still have to play good chess, not blunder, have all those strategy ideas in mind. But at the same time, you don't really have time to do so. So I think 1+2 is by far the hardest time control of the 5+2, 3+2 time controls. 1+2 feels very weird to play.
And looks like Bok is already less than 10 seconds with the black pieces. Can he take on D5? What's he thinking about?
He was probably trying to make something fancy happen, but I think he's just going for some really safe trades over here, which is not the worst idea with black pieces. So
all the rooks are hanging.
All the rooks are hanging. This rook's hanging. This rook's hanging. I think rook takes F7 might have been better, but it's fine.
Wow.
They have 5 seconds on the clock. I'm just a casual observer.
Taking advantage of the plan?
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, whatever. It's fine. I was gonna say there's some tactics there.
Okay, they're trading all these pieces.
Now
the pre-moves are gonna come in handy.
Obviously, Benjamin is more likely to win considering he has the outside pass pawn and is up that pawn actually. But it is a rook and opposite color bishop endgame. So
I feel like this game could go on forever.
Yeah, for the trades, all of the trades result in a draw, basically. If you just had the rooks on the board with the pawns, it's a draw. If you just had the bishops on the board, it would still be a draw. So I think this game might be actually going towards a draw. But let's take a quick
look at Bird's Eye.
Yeah, Bird's Eye time it is. And we actually see a win coming in for Sila.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Winning at the most clutch moment.
Yeah, that's the bullet time format. And props to Sila, of course. That's a beautiful checkmate with the queen and knight.
Absolutely. That's some wonderful, wonderful stuff coming in for Sila. However, Batsurin has unfortunately dropped his game against Rahul. So let's actually take a quick look at Robbie versus David. Because, you know, Benjamin's game is gearing towards the draw. What happens if they draw this one too?
Oh my god. If both top boards draw because it's tied, we're going to go to triple overtime.
Triple overtime. Well, you guys are getting extra commentary hours from us today.
I don't know. It looks like Robbie's going to be the one pushing for the win. He's got the pawn advantage.
Well, yes, Robbie will be pushing for the win. However, it is still very, very equal. It's
still equal. There's time pressure, though.
It's pretty hard to lose this position as white when you're a grandmaster. I'm saying very specifically as a grandmaster because I've actually lost 2 pawns versus 3 in a rook endgame before, and it was very embarrassing. But if you are a grandmaster, you should not be losing this.
All right. Well, you heard it here. Nemo's got high expectations. I think she was very disappointed in David. She wanted this match to end earlier.
Well, I think I'm more disappointed on behalf of David. I feel like if I was in David's position, I would be so devastated. Because now there's actually the chance that UT Dallas loses this match when they could have won it an hour ago. And I think that is by far the worst feeling. Is like, oh, frick, we could have won. Why didn't we win? Because we had that draw. So I think it's definitely a little bit tough being David in this position and being Dallas in this position because they had the chance.
Black can make a pass pawn here. Is it going to be enough?
It is unfortunately not going to be enough as it is going to be a table-based draw.
Yeah, if pawn push, king gets to f2. We have the trades. So we have a draw. We just have Bok's game left. And he's actually very low on time. Both players are. So anyone could still flag. That would be a horrible way to end this match.
Wow. I think that a draw is most likely for Bok. So pretty hard to lose this position as well. Ooh.
It's a 2-pawn advantage now, but still opposite color bishops.
2-pawn advantage.
Sorry, not 1 pawn. I just see the 2 outside.
He does have outside pass pawns. Yeah,
it's getting so late now. My math is starting to be bad. Black's making progress though. Look at that pawn.
I'm looking at this position so sus because what just happened? Why do we let this pawn push up so far?
Oh my god, Bok's gonna win it.
Bok is going to win it. I think Bok's going to win it. But no, we said that too early because now king to h2 and you can't take this pawn because the rook was hanging. So now the bishop's going to come back and take on h3. And now the bishop can come back and defend this h2. Yeah, you're cursing
Bok again.
You're cursing Bok again. I think this is really tough, honestly. It's really tough.
Now white's pushing their pawn.
Okay. I mean, I can't. There's no way that Ivan accidentally blunders. Like, he's playing rook f2 to defend f3. He's going to move his bishop, yeah? Like, I would just park my bishop on a2 at this point because I don't think there's any way for black to get to it. So this is definitely some stressful stuff.
Oh my gosh. I would lose this from both sides.
That I agree with. Yeah. Sorry, I was just thinking in my head, why is there no Armageddon? Did you decide the format?
It's 4v4. You want to do Armageddon on all 4 boards?
Yeah. Toss a coin, see what happens. No, I'm joking.
Oh my goodness.
Now that you say that, it probably does make sense that you're not doing Armageddon because it's a 4v4.
Do they do Armageddon in PCL?
I don't remember seeing a single tiebreaker in PCL.
Oh my gosh. Black's trying to checkmate.
Black is trying to checkmate. That's actually pretty funny. Benjamin is definitely the type to play for checkmate in this position. I respect that from him. Right. However, it is very difficult to go for checkmate with bishop and rook. You might need a little bit more than that. 2 rooks, very easy. Bishop and rook, a little harder. You need the king, but it's very hard to get your king involved when there's the bishop and the rook harassing you all the time.
Oh, this could be the longest CCL match we've ever... I mean, I think it already is.
They're at 120 moves, but don't forget, the 50 move rule comes in effect. If you don't take a if you don't capture or if you don't push a pawn for 50 moves, it's automatically a draw.
Oh, Black's ready to push a2.
Is he, though?
Maybe not. The rook was covering a2. I guess, was the rook going to get behind? I'm not sure. What was wrong with a2?
Well, if the bishop takes at any time, it's automatic.
Oh, there goes a pawn.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Oh my goodness. The king's trying to get in there.
It really is.
And they're living off the increment. This is crazy. There's a pin. How do you deal with this?
King c3? Wait, no.
You've taken the bishop? No.
I think the idea is king c3 potentially, and then you can try to cut off the rook. But
what's happening?
It's still a draw. It's still theoretically a draw.
Ivan is so low on time.
These are the end games I skipped when I read Dvoretsky, so I am not any better than the table base here, but it is theoretically a draw. If at any given point you give up the bishop for this pawn, it is theoretically a draw. Whether or not it's going to be a draw on the board because they're so low on time all the time is another question, but theoretically, it being a draw means that I think grandmasters are able to hold it. So we reset the 50 moves at some point. So, you know, we're going to be
When the
here
pawn was
for,
captured.
yeah, when the pawn was captured. So we're going to be here for a little while longer. But white has a very simple idea. Just keep the bishop on this diagonal. Just keep it on this diagonal. Don't do anything crazy. Don't do anything weird. Don't accidentally get it cut off. Don't accidentally play bishop here and then like have the rook sack. And then when you play a2, there's bishop a3 cutting it off. That's
Oh
another
my
really
goodness.
important point. There's like all
There's
these
so many
little,
tricks.
yeah, you just have to stay away from all those tricks.
Oh my goodness. Is the bishop going to go a5?
Yeah, this
Yes.
is one of Black's main plans is to cut off this rook. But
Oh
not
my god.
even if the
Sorry.
rook's cut off, there's the bishop, right? So
I was thinking if the key goes to a4, there'd be a selfmate.
it's really tough.
Oh, the pawn's pushed.
The pawn's
There's a check.
pushed. But there's going
Rook's
to be
gonna get to
rook,
a3.
and then the pawn's going to be captured, and then it's going to be a
Wow.
draw.
Do you think Bok was aware of the 50 move rule and had to push the pawn?
I think he was, yeah. I think he's
There's the
playing
trades.
this actively to win.
Dude, he doesn't trade. He doesn't trade the rooks.
He's still playing this to win. I told you, Benjamin is definitely the type to play this for a win. He's the type to play this position for checkmate.
He's trying to tire out his opponent because if this goes to the next overtime round, maybe that'll play a factor.
This is giving me major flashbacks to every Title Tuesday. Where
See, White's still trading red.
okay,
There
here we
it is.
go.
Wow, triple overtime.
Triple overtime. And I don't think this is a sign of no respect. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think in chess, it is a battle. It's war. You're allowed to push for a win if you think you have any chance of winning. So I actually fully support Benjamin's decision to push for a win in this position regardless. He knows that he is the one that has the better chances. He probably has more endurance than Ivan. He probably plays way more online blitz bullet than Ivan does. And, you know, there is nothing wrong at all with taking all the opportunities you can. So, yeah. I'm excited for this is now quadruple overtime.
This is triple OT.
Oh, triple,
We're going
okay.
to round 7. So, because that was the first 1+2 round. Now we're going to see the second 1+2 round, and now Slew has their top 2 boards with the white pieces.
Yes.
So I think, again, this is going to be their first time with white with 1+2. That could be really huge for them.
For sure. And we actually were talking about this earlier, but I think Slew having the white pieces on their board ones are so important because Benjamin, while he performs very well as black, obviously, he is able to assert more dominance as white and is able to push for a win more as white. And I think Benjamin is really the one here that is like gearing for it, whereas some of the teammates might be trying to hold on to a draw, although the women international master on board 4 has been doing extremely well. So,
yeah, in fact, her win was crucial. If she lost that game to the grandmaster, then Dallas would be walking home with a win right now. But instead, she got a very important win. In fact, the only win for her team in that last round. So even the board 4's role is crucial here for Slew's chances of victory. I think that they were unfortunately unable to capitalize on her win in that last round, but they were able to hold the top 2 boards at draws with the black pieces. So we're going to see now Slew finally try to take their chances here with the white pieces, with the bullet time control. Could this be the match, or are we going to see another overtime round?
I think we are actually pretty likely to finish on this one. I feel I have this feeling in me, you know. I think at this point we've had what 7 rounds you mentioned.
This is round 7.
Somebody must be getting tired, yeah?
Especially after that Bok match. I mean, how many moves was that game? Like 170?
Yeah, something around there. It was definitely the longest game of chess I have seen in a little while, especially considering it was a 1-2 game. That's pretty crazy to land on 170 moves. But these matches are really, really tense. Unfortunately, we have not been able to bring you game number 4 this week, but we're still cheering them on from the sidelines, and I'm sure their teammates are also cheering them on. But
for sure. And we have round 7 is officially underway here. Could this be it? Could this be CCL history right before our very own eyes? It very well could be.
It very well could be. That board 4 result is not the accurate result.
That was from the last round.
That was from the last round, indeed. But we do currently have Benjamin playing Checa on board 1. This is
the rematch.
This is the rematch. So we will update you on the score for Sila when we get it, but we do not currently have it.
And Dallas, we already saw. I mentioned last year they had a big overtime win against Chicago. So maybe this Dallas team is going to be overtime clutching it up against SLU. So we'll see.
The opportunities are endless. I mean, I think that this has been an insanely fun match to commentate. It's definitely given us, a really good time together. And after queen takes c2 here, actually, is this not a free pawn?
Yeah, I think Bok messed up, and you can see it in his time. He actually dives in. He doubles down on the mistake. Instead of dropping the pawn, he gives up the exchange. And this bishop's taking everything.
I am very surprised about Bok's decision there. I'm very, very surprised. I mean, I understand that he thinks this pawn could be really powerful and he has compensation, but wow, that was not what I was expecting. When you are losing some material, you tend to try to lose the least amount. But Benjamin realized that he was going to lose the pawn, so instead of losing that pawn, he obviously calculated this. This wasn't like some kind of crazy blunder, I would imagine, but instead he was actively like, I think that I can get compensation from this being down a whole piece because I have a passed pawn. So he decided to play this line instead, which I think is actually kind of a good idea in bullets, because now obviously opponent has tank time. There's a lot of threats going on. Even despite being down a piece, Benjamin is now going to get this knight back. So maybe it was actually a practical decision.
Yeah. Ivan played bishop to e6, which blunders queen d6 from Bok, and now he's evened up the material. Oh my god, is this going to be another opposite color bishop?
It is. It's going to be exactly the same type of endgame that we saw the previous game with reverse colors. Joe saying, oh no, realizing that we're going to be here for another 130 moves because nobody is going to resign and both players are going to play for that win. It's this time, I don't actually even know who's really trying to play for a win. Here we go again.
Oh, Nemo. This game started off very exciting, and then it quickly turned into a nightmare.
You don't like opposite color bishop endgames with rooks on the board?
We just saw it. I want a better sequel than this.
Joe is not happy. But let's take a quick look at bird's eye view, because we are going to be probably seeing a draw. I mean, we don't know, right? This is bullet, so anything can happen, but it's probably going to be a draw. Probably.
Yeah, we do have some other games to look at.
Indeed. So we actually do get a decisive result from Batsurin. Batsurin has won against Rahul.
That's huge for SLU.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a reversal of the last round. So I think Robbie's looking really good too. If we could take a look at Robbie's game.
Yeah, we shall take a quick look at Robbie's game over here. Oh, what the heck? Wait, Robbie's completely winning. Oh my god!
Wow. So it's okay. We're stuck to the Bok game.
Okay, we're going back to the Bok game.
The good news for Bok now is that his team already has 2 points. So we see Robbie gets a win and Batsurin gets a win, and that's a draw. So that's it. SLU wins it in round 7 of week 6. Dallas unfortunately unable to get the job done in round 4, and Slew making them pay in triple OT with that opposite color bishop draw from Bok.
Wow, that was really, really, really crazy. I mean, we saw some really intense matches here. We saw triple overtime. This is one of the craziest CCLs we've ever had, for sure.
And do we have time for a player interview? I mean,
are we getting a player interview? I don't know if we're getting a player interview.
Oh my goodness, these players might be exhausted. I don't know if they have time. I don't know if we have time. What's going on?
I think we are getting a player interview. The matches today have been really, really exciting. So, we are going to take a quick break. Commentators need a quick break as well. And we will be back with the interview right after. But huge congratulations to Slew for winning a very hard-fought match.
Stay tuned, guys.
We developed a knight out to f6, and after nearly any of white's moves, for example, short castle, we play b5, bishop to b3, and bishop c5, and this is the introduction to the Archangel. My name is Fabian Caruana, and I'm a chess grandmaster, and here I welcome you to my course, Caruana's Ruy Lopez Dark Archangel. This course will provide you with a full repertoire with the black pieces against the Ruy Lopez. So let's say after h5, white plays h3, because white can always take on b6. Black plays h4, bishop h2, g4. We've seen this idea, we need to open up the king side. We need to play for the initiative. Take, and we take with the knight. And the idea is to play h3. We also always have the option to take on h2, and if knight takes b6, rook b6, it doesn't really change anything, because we still have many attacking pieces. Knight on g4, knight on g6, pawn h3 coming, and rook h8 coming. All of black's army is actually concentrated at white's king side.
This Halloween.
Wow, for one split second, the position completely turned.
8 titled players.
The internet has my facial expression in every game, says CK.
Masks. Mystery.
And the loser takes his mask off.
Mayhem.
I don't see a move, but Freddy does see a move, because bishop takes b3, at least attacks the rook.
Unmask the fun.
Oh.
Finally.
Oh. And Halloween Killer, I think you could take your mask off now. Just. Oh my words! It's a niche. No one knew it was a niche for that mask.
Shocking.
October 31st on Chess.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Today's matches were presented to you by SIG with your hosts, Nemo and Joe. Unfortunately, we're not going to be having an interview. All the players were really tired, so we are going to let them get back to their day and all their school stuff and, all the other commitments they have. But today's matches were absolutely insane. What was the highlight, Joe?
I mean, it's got to be that last match, triple overtime. Not only the first overtime match we've seen on broadcast, but also the longest. That was wild, seeing Dallas almost win it in round 4, Robbie clutching a draw in a completely losing position to force OT, and then winning it in triple OT. That was wild. What was your favorite part, Nemo?
I mean, I think that we already started off the day with a really intense moment. There was a very, very cool game in which one of the grandmasters from UTRGV actually sacrificed 3 minor pieces in one game. 4 brilliancies in like 2 games or something. I mean, that was crazy, but obviously this overtime was such a highlight. So I think today's matches were all extremely fun. But before we let you guys go and do whatever it is that you're going to be doing, we also should talk a little bit about next week's matches. Joe, who do we look for next week?
So next week we have the number 1 seed SLU taking on Mizzou, who we saw come up with a big win today against Texas. And we'll see. Well, that's going to be the big one. And then we have another match, of course. We've got, looks like, Dallas versus Columbia or Yale versus Chicago. So the 2 Ivy League schools going up against Dallas and Chicago, respectively. I think Yale-Chicago will be a really close one to keep our eyes on for.
I definitely agree with you. I mean, we are wrapping up this season, and unfortunately, we were not able to get Robbie in for an interview today, but I still want to say, next week is going to be really exciting. I can't tell you guys who the commentator for next week yet is. I will not be here, but there will be a special guest as the interviewer. Sorry, not as the interviewer, as the commentator. And I think that these matches were so exciting that everybody here that was here today, you have to show up next week. We're wrapping up the season really soon, so it's time for you guys to pick it up as well. Come show up, support your favorite school, even if you're not necessarily part of them. Watching the Collegiate Chess League has been extremely fun, and I think, wow, there have been some really intense games.
It's almost over, Nemo. We only have 1 week left of the regular season. It went by so fast. This is so fun and exciting, and we're definitely going to miss you next week. So it's been a pleasure to do commentary with you.
Thank you so much, Joe. It really has. I'm not actually sure if I will see Joe as my co-commentator in the near future, but regardless, it's been really fun with Joe, and thank you guys all so much for watching. But don't forget, guys, there is also going to be State of Chess on Monday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern with Danny Wrench. It has been wonderful. Thank you very much, Joe. This has been an absolute pleasure. Very honored to have you as my co-commentator, and also for you to have me as a host on the Collegiate Chess League. Thank you so much.
Pleasure's been all mine.
yeah.